On an ordinary day, millions of Koreans received a message from the country's leadership. It was said that monsters appeared in the area of Mount Invansan, so all residents around are asked to evacuate urgently. Our main character, a 29-year-old boy named Lee Ho, did not really believe in these reports. He thought that it was all just a prank. On the other hand, if this is really true, then people on Earth are in mortal danger, which is no longer funny. Recently, there have been many fake videos on the internet, but suddenly on the streets of the city, Lee Ho saw a real monster. He was very surprised, but understood that this goblin woman was asking him for help. Despite the fact that she is helpless and tries to make a good expression, it is still scary to look at her. It was the goblin woman who began to cry and said that she wanted to return to her family. Lee Ho realized that he will have to make a very difficult choice. He does not want to help her, but it is getting harder and harder for him to refuse. As a result, after some time he decided to help the monster and got something for it. This goblin woman gave him a silver goblin pill, although Lee Ho doesn't understand how to use it. While he was trying to figure out how to use this pill, the breaking news was on the TV. Right now, strange buildings are appearing all over the world. They look like big towers. Soldiers who went on reconnaissance do not get in touch after seeing large monsters on these towers. It is really very similar to the end of the world, but none of the inhabitants of the earth was unprepared for it. Lee Ho thought that he was safe while he was in his house, but it turned out that he was not. A huge explosion rang out on the street. Panic began among people. No one knew what to do. Another huge tower appeared in the middle of the city. This is a very tall building with a lot of windows. Lee Ho went out to the balcony to look at this tower with his own eyes. He had never seen such a tall structure in his life. He doesn't know if it is right to eat this silver goblin pill, but this is the first time he can do something so crazy. Sometimes you have to step up and risk everything you have to become a true living legend. Lee Ho immediately received the Sage status window. Now he will have a guide with the highest survival rates in this situation. After a few seconds, he held a big blue book in his hands. It should tell about all the secrets of the new world. The doors of the apocalypse will open very soon. In his new life, Lee Ho will have to train a lot to have a chance of survival. Thus, he began to act according to the instructions, abandoned everything, and concentrated only on physical exertion. The door of the apocalypse was opened. It seemed to him that it was the end, but it turned out that it was only the beginning. The system reported that the boy had successfully passed the test to determine the class. Now he is a combat swordsman. The guy was very surprised and immediately started checking his characteristics. After that, like a real fighting swordsman, he got his sword. Now he has to defend himself from monsters every second. Now he must survive for an hour in the forest or find a way to escape, so it will not be easy. The system asked the boy to destroy the maximum number of monsters. If he tries to escape, his progress will be greatly reduced. Now it is clear why the system advised him to exercise. Now he will really need his strength. Soon he heard that an unknown creature was approaching him, so the test began. It was time to act. When he saw his opponent, he was surprised. It seemed to him that it would be a terrible mutant goblin, and not an ordinary one-horned raccoon. It seemed that way until the creature got angry and readied its claws. So the battle with this obsessed raccoon began, if it wasn't funny. But it's a battle not for life, but for death. Very quickly, this raccoon was taken down with a basic swordsmanship. The boy now gained experience points. So far, everything is quite simple during training, although the level of complexity may increase in the future. It is necessary to increase the level of mana during hunting in order to use your skills more often in the future. Almost without stopping, Lee Ho destroyed the raccoons in whole packs. Soon this note would be entered in the Red Book. It was an easy job for which Lee Ho received additional health and mana level. His characteristics increased. Since he has a Sage status window, he will level up slower than other players. Of course he is unhappy, but this is a fair payment for additional information from the system. So there's something similar to the penalties for having a Sage status window. You'll have to put up with that. Only a little later, the boy began to guess that the help system is a bug in the game that can help him. The training continued. With each new test, Lee Ho became stronger and stronger. Killing the one-horned raccoons didn't take long, but yielded easy experience points and stat boosts. Right now, this young guy is still in the first tier, but he is constantly accumulating available points. More and more points are required to move to each next level. For Lee Ho, it will be a simple task to raise his stats with the help of a system bug, and only then level up. For a combat avenger, the best option is to increase strength and agility. With the help of strength, his attacks will become more powerful, and agility will help him react faster to dangers. The one-horned raccoon is not a very strong opponent even for training. Lee Ho easily destroys it with the first strike. He needs to kill more of these monsters, and for this he needs to find their place of residence. Finding these monsters became much easier. After he increased the level of his sensitivity, he could sense their approach from a kilometer away. At this moment, the system reported that a hidden quest had been activated, and all monsters must be destroyed again. This means that the difficulty level of the task increases, and now Li Ho must destroy the one-horned alpha raccoon. This is no longer a small monster. This is a real alpha male with whom it will be much more difficult to fight. It was only at the last moment that Li Ho managed to dodge this raccoon's attack. If he had a worse reaction, he would have already turned into a steak. The incredible speed of this alpha raccoon is immediately noticeable, so he is the real boss in this jungle. To begin with, you need to calm down and come up with a battle strategy. But the guy has absolutely no time for all this. He will have to fight against his own instincts. Only the ability to work with a sword can save his life. It really helped. After a few minutes, the battle was over. The alpha one-horned raccoon was destroyed. Soon the system reported that the training was successfully completed. This hour passed too quickly. Li Ho did not have time to understand anything, but in a few seconds he found himself in a completely different place. There were a large number of other young people around him. It was obvious that they all ended up here not of their own free will. Soon the people were informed that they had all passed the training and were now in the tower. Some immediately began to panic and begged to go home, but Li Ho tried to remain calm. If he had not known that the end of the world had come, he would have been in the same state of shock as everyone else. Now the main thing is not to panic, but to remain calm and focused. This will increase the chances of survival. Soon a large and white rabbit appeared among these people. His name is Kum. He is on the 55th level. Li Ho immediately decided to ask a question. The boy is trying to understand what he should do, considering that this is really the end of the world. The rabbit liked this question very much. He said that everyone around would participate in the game and risk their own lives. Of course, everyone around them was shocked. Just yesterday they were enjoying their peaceful life, but today they have to fight to stay alive. Now all the people of the earth are in this tower. They must work as a team to complete the missions on each floor, and thus climb higher. Of course, everyone hopes that they will be able to return to normal life if they reach the top floor of the tower. Kum replied that he did not know this. They must do everything to climb up, and what will happen next is unknown. He asked not to try to find meaning in the normal tasks of this game, and reminded that the players have no choice. If they refuse to work as a team, they will face a very cruel and quick death. He also reminded that a large number of people died at the training stage, so few managed to reach this level. Li Ho didn't even think about it. He thought that learning was the easiest part of the game, but most people couldn't overcome this barrier. He immediately began to think about loved ones. This made the boy really panic. He has no time for sympathy because Kum is trying to figure out if there are players who want to kill him right now. In order to return home, he must die, so whoever helps him in this will receive a special reward. We will remind you that this white rabbit is at the 55th level, although it does not look strong and powerful. Li Ho decided to stay behind and watch what would happen next, although at that moment he was approached by the system. He was told that he had to help the downstairs manager get home, so he would have to kill this rabbit. Up to this point, the guide had not given him any bad advice, although this advice could turn out to be fatal. While Li Ho tried to dare to attack, another sword player decided to do all the dirty work for him. This boy thought that it would be an easy task, and if Kum wanted to die so much, then he was ready to help him. He took out his long and sharp sword and prepared to cut off the rabbit's head. Unfortunately, he failed to do so, because less than a second later he missed a powerful blow to the face. Everyone around was shocked. Some even got drops of this boy's blood. Kum smiled, apologized, and said that he accidentally hit back. Now this rabbit is nothing like his past version. It looks like he took a double dose of steroids. The player who tried to kill the rabbit died, and now Li Ho realized that he could have been in his place. He understood that even though it was just a game, everything was real here, and he would have to pay for every wrong step. However, the system still advised Li Ho to help the rabbit return home, if that didn't sound strange. Kum continued to ask the other players for help, but now they were all scared and did not dare to attack him. At that moment, the Sage status window was called up, and Li Ho began to see all his possibilities. He realized that he has additional skills that he did not even know about, for example, the Eye of a Sage. With the help of this skill, Li Ho looked at the Kum rabbit, and now everything became clear to him. He said that he wanted to help the rabbit get home, although everyone around him thought this idea was crazy. Li Ho said that his current level doesn't matter if he wants to do a good deed and help the rabbit. Kum smiled and asked to be sent home, at which point Li Ho picked up his sword. The girl standing next to him tried to stop him. She remembered what happened to the man who tried to help the rabbit. Everyone else also picked up on her initiative and started trying to stop Li Ho. They think it's too dangerous. The boy assured them that he was in control of the situation and had a plan, so they could not worry about him. As soon as Li Ho took out his sword, the rabbit turned into a rabid monster again and began to approach him. At this moment, a few seconds before his potential death, Li Ho realized that there was something strange about this rabbit's words. Li Ho is sure that there are 25 people in this space. but the rabbit said that there will be 24 players in this game. It was hardly a simple mistake. The horror of meeting a level 55 monster and the fear that it might kill, all of it was intentional. At that moment, the rabbit approached the boy and gave him a powerful blow on the head. People around were shocked. Turns out that wasn't enough to kill Lee Ho, all because he found the reason why Kum Kum got the number wrong. Actually, there are 24 people here because the guy who was destroyed at the very beginning was just a hologram made by Kum Kum. Rabbit smiled. He was really surprised and admitted that Lee Ho is a very smart and skillful guy. The rabbit is also just a hologram. It immediately disappears as soon as you attack it. All its characteristics are at 0 level. For those who are brave, there will always be chances to make it through this game and reach the finals. For his intelligence and bravery, Lee Ho immediately received a characteristic score, and everyone around him watched him as if he were a real hero. He explained that he was lucky. He saw the blood go through Sol Che. Her face and clothes were supposed to be covered in blood, but it wasn't. In this way, he understood that it was all just a show, even if not everyone agreed with his theory. At that moment, he was approached by a big and strong guy named Kim Seo-yeon. He is on the 4th level and thinks that Lee Ho is lucky. He finds it strange that Lee Ho is only at the 1st level, even though they have already trained, so he is either weak or too stupid. This means that Lee Ho will die easily in the future, so it is better for him to give his stat points to someone else. Lee Ho had never seen such audacity. Of course, he refused to help Kim and use these stat points for his own benefit. Thus, a new conflict was born. If no one intervenes, then a fight awaits us. Through his experience, Lee Ho realizes that the best solution is to avoid people like Kim. The conflict was stopped because the players were informed that from this moment on, the distribution of gold will begin. They can use the gold in the shop, and additional gold will be given based on the number of monsters they have destroyed. This zone has the largest amount of starting gold for the player, who will receive 7,400 coins. The players began to discuss their results and marvel at the winner's performance. It turned out that Lee Ho took the 1st place. He destroyed many more monsters than all the others. Lee Ho is not going to reveal this information because jealousy among other players may lead to conflicts. There are 3 main things you can do with gold. Of course, the most important thing is buying items in the store. You can also level up your skills and increase stats, although it's quite expensive, especially if you're low on gold. Lee Ho could no longer wear his old sports uniform, so he decided to buy himself a new one at the store. A little later, Sol Che approached him. She said that she needed advice. Despite his weak level, she was surprised to see his bravery, and therefore decided to turn to him in particular. He could see all her characteristics through the system, and advised her to exercise more often to increase her stamina level. Also, she can spend gold to raise her stats, but it still won't be able to fully compensate for the weak level. Soon the players were informed that the task on the 1st floor would soon begin. All of them must unite in groups of 3 people to complete the mission. 30 minutes will be given for this. Lee Ho expected that there would be a group task waiting for them, but he hoped that it would be later. Soon players started telling other players about their class. This was done to create teams and complement each other. Sol Che was the first to offer Lee Ho to join the team. He had no reason to refuse. Everyone else, on the contrary, did not want to join them, probably because Lee Ho is at a very weak level. Level 4 players look very relaxed. They act like they've already played this game. Everyone around has already created their groups, so there are almost no options left to create a team. 30 minutes soon passed. The incomplete groups will be randomly filled, and the 1st floor task will soon begin. It turned out that Lee Ho was not very lucky. The 3rd member of his team was the cheeky Kim. It's hard to believe that this fool turned out to be less popular than Lee Ho, even though he is on the 4th level. He will be difficult to work with, but Lee Ho has no other choice, so he must do everything he can to succeed in the mission. The task is quite simple and clear. It is necessary to destroy a squad of kobolds. The team has 12 hours for this. Kim said that he could do it alone, and asked others not to disturb him. Lee Ho reminded that this is a team task, but these words made his partner even more angry. He was almost impossible to cooperate with. Lee Ho decided not to conflict with him and try to give this fool a chance to prove himself. Meanwhile, Sol Che was visibly nervous. She understood that she was in a difficult situation and worried about the success of this mission. While they were looking for a pack of monsters, they noticed that there were a huge number of different bugs around, too many of them. With every minute, Sol Che became more and more nervous. She thinks that the kobolds will be too strong for them. Lee Ho assured that these monsters are stronger than raccoons, but he is confident that they will be able to defeat them, because this is only the initial level of difficulty. Soon they met their first opponent. These monsters are very similar to werewolves. They are at the 5th level. Lee Ho suggested that they first look around the area. It would be too dangerous to attack because they don't know where the other monsters are. Kim is not used to hiding. He is ready to jump into danger and fight even against hundreds of monsters. It's hard to tell if it's bravery or, on the contrary, mental retardation, but he started to attack and struck the first blow. He wanted to get the maximum number of stat points and show all the players in the game that he is the best. Lee Ho immediately realized that this was a stupid thing to do. It was wrong to fight a monster without support, but now it was too late to think about it. Sol Che immediately ran forward to help. She activated the sorcerer's power. They were very lucky that there were no other monsters around, so they should easily defeat one kobold. The system reported that these are passive monsters. They will not attack if they are not provoked. Meanwhile, Kim activated the Stone Fist skill and attempted to destroy his opponent with a single blow. He hit him really very powerfully, and did not even notice that another monster appeared behind him. You don't need to make these guys angry, because if you make them angry, then you're going to be in big trouble. Kim realized this too late. Now he, like all the other members of his team, is in a lot of trouble. He tried not to panic, and hoped that the other members of his team would help in this battle. If Lee Ho does not intervene in this battle, his friends will die very quickly, and without them, he will not be able to complete this mission. Kobolds felt fear and weakness, although they are passive monsters, but if you anger them, they become incredibly active. At the last moment when it seemed that Sol Che was about to die, Lee Ho intervened and protected this girl with his sword. He destroyed the monster with one blow. It was really powerful and deserved respect. Now even Kim will have to admit that this loser, who is in the same team as him, is also capable of brave deeds. Sol Che, after being rescued, finally fell in love with her new hero. Lee Ho managed to do this with the help of extraordinary fruits in the jungle. He saw that the bugs ate everything around, but did not touch the poisonous apple, and therefore he used this fruit to defeat the kobold. These monsters have no protection against poison, so these fruits can be the key to successfully completing the first mission. Kim was extremely dissatisfied. He wanted to become the hero of this stage, but it turned out that he was just a loser. That's why he started yelling at Lee Ho and accused him of hiding in the bushes instead of immediately helping his team. Kim believes that it was he who defeated these monsters, and it is he who should be considered the leader of this pathetic team. It seems that this guy is obsessed. Maybe he suffered a lot of head injuries in his childhood, so his brain works only half. Soon they found a settlement of kobolds and decided to attack and destroy these monsters. Kim tried to do this with his iron fists. He believes that this is enough to destroy any opponent. This strategy was not very successful. His partners at this time were successfully destroying monsters with the help of a poison apple. If you smear your sword with poison, then the destruction of monsters turns into child's play. In this way, Lee Ho and Sol Che easily gained extra stat points while Kim watched them with envy. He turned out to be too stupid to use poison apples, so he had huge problems in the battle with monsters. He was very lucky to have a guy like Lee Ho on his team, because without him, he would have been dead a long time ago. Now that Lee Ho had saved his life for the second time in one day, Kim decided to thank him for it. The task was successfully completed, and the team returned to the lobby feeling like real winners. Of course, only Kim did not feel the same confidence as at the very beginning. He understands that he failed the first stage. Each of them got their level up, though Lee Ho is still the weakest of them all, if that doesn't sound strange. It turned out that there is no one on the first floor yet, so they were the first to pass this task, because they were able to find the weak point of the monsters. Sol Che believes that it is not just luck. She admits that the first task was successfully completed only with the help of Lee Ho's mind. Soon the players started coming back after completing the first mission, all of them looking tired. Lee Ho began to guess that all these players had also found poison apples. He was also interested in whether everyone would be able to go back, because the task was really difficult, especially considering that they were newbies. Some came back very badly injured. Also, some players were mentally broken after what they saw. Soon the players were informed that all groups passed the first task. 6 teams returned alive. Obviously, there were losses. 8 players did not return at all, so they died during this stage. Lee Ho expected that it would be difficult for everyone to return alive, but 8 dead players is already too much. He began to wonder how many more people would die in this game. Would he really have to go over the heads of the dead in order to achieve his goal? Groups that did not lose a single player, as well as the team that won the task, will receive thousands of gold coins each. Lee Ho received 2,000 coins for both bonuses. He is satisfied because the gold is the insurance for his future survival. He must accumulate the maximum number of these coins in order to be calm in the future. The players decided to find out who took the first place. Of course, everyone is interested to see the strongest among them. This time, Lee Ho decided to reveal the secret and say that their team won first place, but he was overtaken by Kim. Everyone around them was surprised that it was they who took the first place, because among them there was a player of only the first level. Now everyone around is convinced that Lee Ho does almost nothing, and all the dirty work is done for him by other members of the team, but he is satisfied with such fame. Sol Che could not listen to her friend being insulted. She decided to intervene and tell what really happened. Li Ho stopped her and explained that there is nothing wrong with that. They won't be listened to anyway, so it's better not to even try to convince others of this. Some players have already become quite famous with their success. Jun-sun is at level 8 and thinks everyone needs to focus. Junho agrees and urges the other players to work as a team because only then can they succeed. Thus, these two are already becoming the real leaders of the team, although this is only the beginning of the game. Soon everything around changed. The fire changed its color and the system reported a potential danger. They were told that the survival rate at the first level is below average, so now they have an additional task. Everyone around was scared and nervous, especially when they heard that the deadly mission would soon begin. They must choose one player to complete the deadly task. They have only 5 minutes for this. If they do not choose anyone, they will automatically vote against themselves. Voting may mean the potential death of another member of the game, but it's better to have someone else die than yourself. Sol Che believes that everyone should vote for themselves. In this case, no one will have to perform a deadly task. The girl was immediately told that this was a stupid strategy, because in this case it might turn out that they would all be doomed to die. With each second, time became less and less. This led to a real panic among the players. They soon realized that they had to make a choice against Li Ho, because he is only at the second level. That is, he is the weakest among them all. It was too cruel, but they have to make their choice and they have no other options. However, Li Ho remained calm and even smiled, which he said he expected given the atmosphere. His girlfriend tried to change public opinion and refused to vote against him, but no one listened to her. Li Ho understands that there is almost no trust in him, so most likely he will have to go through this deadly task. Of course, there were several reasons for this, but the main reason is that he is the weakest player, so no one feels sorry for pushing him to death. Everyone around immediately forgot about the rules of the community. They forgot that the strong should protect the weak. This is what happens when people panic. Everyone starts to protect themselves. The masks are immediately removed from their faces, and everything secret becomes open. Of all of them, Kim seemed to be the happiest about this decision. He had disliked Li Ho for far too long, the perfect opportunity to get rid of him. It was a cruel reminder that the end of the world had indeed begun, and now the path to a deadly mission was open for Li Ho. Everyone around was afraid to even look into his eyes. Behind him there were people with guilty expressions on their faces, but it didn't make it any easier. Li Ho had no choice but to step forward and do it, even at the risk of death. Oddly enough, the system recommends taking part in the deadly task, because Li Ho has a high chance of successfully completing this task. He went to meet his death with his head held high. All the rest had to do was wait for the result. Of course they were upset, even though most of them did not know Li Ho well, but they felt that they had done something wrong. Kim disagrees with this. He believes that everyone gets what they deserve, so Li Ho deserved to die. This loser was doing nothing and just trying to be on the team that Kim was leading. At that moment, Sol Che intervened in the conversation and reminded this fool who was actually leading the team forward. Kim had to admit that it was true, but he still hoped he wouldn't come back alive. Only Sol Che hopes that her friend will find the strength to overcome the difficulties and pass this deadly task. She believes that he will return safe and sound. This is not only faith, it is a strong conviction. The task of death is not a gift at all. Everything around looks creepy, as if he got into a real horror movie. Li Ho didn't look upset. He remembers that the system advised him to try to pass this task, so there is a probability of success. This is the perfect opportunity to take your mind off the brash team members and focus on your own progress. The group of the kobold tribe has returned from hunting. Now the fun begins. The deadly task begins. Li Ho must defeat not only the monster squad, but also their boss. The kobold leader is the boss of this dungeon. He is a level 12th monster, but still has a weakness to poison. This means that he can be defeated in the same way as other kobolds, with the help of a poison apple. This would not be an easy task, Li Ho understood that, but despite the difficulties, he drew his sword and ran to attack. With the help of basic sword skills, he was able to destroy several monsters at once. Now that he has destroyed all the members of the squad, only the boss remains to be dealt with, although this is the most difficult task. Despite the difference in levels, Li Ho still continued to aggressively attack and deliver powerful blows to the enemy. The boss was able to minimize the impact by jumping back while attacking. This already shows his combat intelligence. Usually monsters are much dumber, but this one is really smart and knows how to use weapons. It seemed that way until the boss monster turned around and started running away at top speed. Li Ho realized that he had to catch up with him and take advantage of this opportunity. It turned out that the boss is not as powerful as it seemed. It seems as if this mission could be completed by anyone who gets here. Li Ho was close to destroying the boss, but at the last moment something strange happened. It was as if the world stopped. Raising his head up, he saw a blood moon. Probably the kobold reacted to the moonlight. He forgot about the pain, turned around and struck back. It looks like Li Ho is in big trouble. Meanwhile, the players continued to wait for the outcome of this mission. Some of them were waiting for Li Ho to die, and some of them were hoping that he would stay alive. Kim is sure that this guy has been dead for a long time. He is so weak that he had no chance to pass the deadly task, and soon everyone will understand it. Because of these words, Sol Che started yelling at him. She reminded him that even if the world is in such a bad state, people should still have a conscience. They started yelling at each other. A fight could soon break out, and there was no guarantee that Kim would win. At that moment, someone informed them that the portal was opening. So now the result of the deadly mission will become clear. Everyone around tensed and turned all their attention to the portal. It's hard to even believe that Li Ho could actually be alive. Soon they all saw that he came out of the portal. He returned alive, although he was wounded. During the battle with the monster, the system warned to be careful, because the boss's abilities increase when his eyes turn red. This happens during the blood moon, and today is that day, so Li Ho is very unlucky. He understood that he was fighting with a real devil, although if you strike the right blow at the right time, then this mission can be successfully completed. He understood that the situation was very difficult. He was wounded, and it would be difficult to find the right moment to attack. To begin with, I decided to choose defense tactics in order not to die at the very beginning of the battle. The guy saw how the monster punched a hole in the tree like it was soft tofu. This is enough to scare most of the players. At that moment, he thought of something interesting. His grandfather always said that a sword cannot break a wall, but a nail can. Previously, he believed that a sword is a weapon that can only be used to cut one's opponents. Now he looks at it completely differently, and is ready to try a new way for the sake of victory. He wants to use the opponent's momentum as he approaches him, and then add his own weight to it. With incredible speed, the boss approached him and prepared to deliver the final blow. Everything happened as quickly as possible, but with the help of an incredible reaction, Li Ho managed to strike ahead. Now the counterstrike was added to the basic swordsmanship. He succeeded, and it could be considered a victory. The deadly mission was accomplished, and now it was time to see who was actually happy to see him. Kim couldn't help but use this opportunity. He realized that now Li Ho will be a superstar, and they should become friends. He overtook Sol Che, punched her, and ran to hug his best friend as tightly as possible. Of course, all this looked as strange as possible. 5 minutes ago, he was sure that Li Ho was dead, and now he calls him his best friend. He said that he always believed in Li Ho, and was sure that he would return from the deadly mission, even though everyone else didn't believe it. He said that no deadly mission could stop the best warrior in the universe. After that, all the players came to him to understand what happened. They find it hard to believe that he passed the deadly task. They are glad that he was able to stay alive, and understand that if he passed such a difficult test, he gained a lot of experience. That is why no one can understand why his current level has not changed at all. It is some kind of anomaly. It seemed to him that he was already used to this feeling, but it seems that the world wants the weak to remain weak. At this moment, he started to remember his past, when he got a good grade in the school exam, but no one believed him. In this life, everyone around constantly mocks Li Ho, as if they do not give him a chance to prove himself and show his true potential. Strong people try to crush the weak as soon as they see an opportunity. In any case, for now he needs to stay calm and ignore all this. In addition, he always has a girlfriend who can intervene and protect him from all the evil people in the world. She said that they do not know anything and do not understand anything, and she is not going to watch her friend being insulted. Kim completely agreed with her. He is also upset that no one threw a party in honor of the return of a superhero named Li Ho. Meanwhile, everyone around looks at Kim as a fool who changes his mind every 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Li Ho feels calm so that doesn't happen. He wants everyone around him to stay alive. For that to happen, he has to show them something compelling, and he's ready to do that. Soon, the boy got hold of an unstoppable sword of rare rank. Its features are extraordinary strength and increased attack characteristics. The increased attack stat is considered a cheat, especially considering that there is no additional information about this item. Now everyone around admits that this guy is really special. Sol Che was right. Such a precious item is far more valuable than experience points as a survival aid. Probably all these people completely forgot that they almost brought him to death. Now they are pretending as if nothing happened, although a few hours ago they pushed him to meet the devil. Junho is ready to admit it. He understands that they acted selfishly, and only now is he ready to accept his mistake. They understood that they were voting against him, because he had the lowest level, and this was the same as silent exile. They are very ashamed of their actions and are ready to apologize, just to improve their relationship with Li Ho. Although not everyone agreed with the apology, in any case someone had to go on a deadly mission, so they had no choice. If Li Ho came back with a rare item, It means that the strategy was correct. At least that is the opinion of some members. Li Ho intervened in the conversation and said that he does not need an apology. The main thing is that this should not happen again in the future. They must understand that the tower is trying to divide them, and that is why it is doing such tasks. The tower tries to provoke distrust between the participants, start conflicts, and does everything to push them on the path to death. Now that Li Ho had voiced this, the other players in the game understood what he meant and looked at the situation from a different angle. His return after a deadly mission should be seen as an opportunity. He has already shown that their actions can contradict the tower's intentions. He will do everything to find ways of survival for all players, and will not stop until he reaches the top floor. Everyone around must prepare for a difficult journey, and if they succeed, then they will be able to return to their normal lives. There is no guarantee of this, but this goal deserves people to believe in it, because it is better than accepting inevitable death. Sol Che once again supported her friend and said that they should all unite and act as a real team. All these motivational speeches really influenced the other participants. They once again felt faith in their own strength. It was at this moment that the Cum Cum Rabbit appeared again. He reminded that the players are participating in a survival game. The second level task will take place among 15 players of this location. They should prepare for a battle royale because our last mission will seem like child's play in comparison. The rabbit also reminded that this is only the initial level, so you should not panic too early and lose faith in your own strength. Now it's time to explain the rules. In the second level task, there will be 16 players and 16 doppelgangers, so a total of 32 people. The conditions for completing this task are quite simple. Players must kill all their doppelgangers. Their doubles will have not only the same indicators, but the same memories, so this task will not be very simple. And the most important thing is that the player who kills the double will not get a reward, but the player who kills another player will get a lot of gold and experience points. In other words, this mission could be an opportunity for them, or so the sneaky Cum Cum Rabbit thinks. That is, he implies that they should kill each other, if of course they want to get gold and experience points. For every 30 minutes during which there is no kill, they will be summoned in the forehead and face a huge disaster. This huge monster of an unknown level is a disaster, and meeting him is the worst thing that can happen to a person. Li Ho can't believe that this stupid rabbit really thinks they can defeat this monster. The challenge began. From the very beginning, most of the players almost died. They were very lucky to stay alive. Li Ho was able to save the people around him, but it is too early to rejoice because the most difficult test is ahead. He is approached by a huge monster that does not want to talk. It only wants to crush bones and eat human entrails. This is a real disaster. The rabbit was not kidding when he said this. All of them have passed the training and the first test of the tower, but now there is no understanding of how to pass this task. People feel a real panic. If not for Li Ho's reaction, some would have already said goodbye to life. Li Ho decided to remember what the Cum Cum Rabbit was talking about. Maybe there is a clue in his words, the key to passing the test. It seems that he deliberately forced them to take the mission seriously, so it's all just a demonstration. No one will hurt them. Of course, this is just Li Ho's theory, because at the very moment he thinks about it, his friends feel the touch of death in the background. Soon the panic was stopped, and they started attacking the monster and trying to stop it. Now everyone understands that this is not a show at all. The tower really wants to destroy them, and will do everything possible for this. Sol Che tries to help other players and heal them, but her mana runs out very quickly. No one had died yet, but it was only a matter of time, so Li Ho decided to order all the players to retreat immediately. If he can't stop this huge monster, then they will all die. The idea is, of course, absurd, although if you combine the technique of a crazy sword and a counter-strike, you can achieve success. Li Ho really believes in what he is doing, but belief alone is not enough. Something more is needed to defeat such a big monster. You have to have a huge heart, and as it turns out, this guy has no problem with that either. Everyone around was shocked. His attack really worked, and the monster disappeared. It was a true miracle, and everything seemed so impossible that even Li Ho could not believe his own success. Not long after, everyone celebrated the victory. They understand that your trials await them in the future, but now you can relax a little. Li Ho felt something change. The system informed him that he was using a power that was higher than his limit, so he would be powerless for 3 minutes. It was at this moment that he lost consciousness and fell to the ground. He was lucky that he did not hit his head too hard. After 3 minutes, his condition changed. The energy in his body was restored, and he regained consciousness. There were many people around him. They all tried to help their hero and check if everything was okay with him. It is hard for them to believe that, having such incredible power, he remained humble all this time. A Cum Cum Rabbit appeared and explained that the huge monster was just a demonstration. It was done to amuse the players a little. Although they almost died, the atmosphere became more cheerful, and this is the most important thing. He reminded that every 30 minutes someone must die, and if the players forget about it, they will regret it very much. They must understand that their potential killers may be standing next to them, waiting for the perfect moment to attack from behind. It will be hard to sleep at night after such words, but the problem is that he is absolutely right. After a short motivational speech, he said goodbye to the players and left for the portal, his work for today completed. Now the players must act independently, without prompts from the rabbit, and do not forget the rules of the game. The rules can't be broken. If they can't find their doppelgangers, they'll have to kill someone from their team, so you have to come up with a strategy. The players began to offer different options, and it was at this moment that Li Ho intervened in the conversation. He carefully looked at his companions and said that he had one very interesting idea, and they should listen to him. He said that only he would do something important in this mission, and began to talk about his plan in a low voice. It is not known what exactly he meant, but everyone around was shocked and could not believe their ears. Soon he asked them to gather at the highest point of the second floor. If anyone other than him tried to act, that person could be considered a double. Not everyone agrees with his strategy. The warrior Ansei-chan thinks that something more interesting can be invented. He is not sure that they should all obey his orders. At this moment, Li Ho recalled the words of the rabbit. If you kill a doppelganger, you will get nothing, and for killing players, they give gold and experience points. He hinted that any of the people around can become a killer, which means that there may not be doppelgangers at all. The tower only wants them to kill each other. It's a brilliant plan. Li Ho understands it and isn't going to play by the tower's rules, so he thinks his way is the best. Jun-sung agrees with his strategy. This plan will really help them reduce injuries and deaths. Soon the mission of the second floor began. They must kill at least one person in 30 minutes. Kim is not very happy with this plan. They gather at the highest point of the second floor and do nothing. It's not quite right. He looked relaxed, and it was at this moment that he felt someone approaching behind him. It turned out to be Li Ho. He immediately saw his giant partner, because Kim can't even hide behind a tree. At first, it seemed like a normal, friendly conversation. Kim started laughing and said that his muscles are already too big to hide them from others. It was at this moment that his head was cut into two perfectly equal parts. It doesn't quite look like a friendly conversation anymore. The impression is that it is cruel and principled revenge. It turned out that before starting the mission, Li Ho told the other players that only he would kill. No one else would have that right. They accepted his conditions, so now if he kills any of the players, he is sure that they are doppelgangers. With the help of the system, he reached an incredible level of sensitivity and acquired the skill of absolute sensing. This helps him identify doppelgangers, and that's why he decided to offer this plan to other players. His sensitivity reached an incredible level, although he had to spend almost half of his gold reserves for this. He has leveled up his filter and can now even smell his breath at great distances. Soon he saw Kim in front of him, who was calmly walking through the forest and talking to himself. With the help of his sensitivity skill, Li Ho immediately understood that before him was not the real Kim, but his double. This doppelganger had an extremely unpleasant smell, as if it had spent a whole month in a garbage can. We have already seen everything that happened next. The double was killed, and the system officially recognized the first murder. He understood that he had a double, although he tried to pretend to be the original version of Kim until the very end. In any case, his method worked. The main thing was that everyone else did not disobey his orders. If all other members of the team continued to be on the mountain, then nothing bad should happen. It seemed so until the system announced another kill. This time it was the player who was killed, not the doppelganger. This incredibly shocked the boy. He does not see the whole picture, so he does not understand what happened and who did it. He began to rush to solve all these problems. But in this world, everything happens extremely fast. While he was looking for other players, the system reported that the killings were continuing. He saw another double in front of him. Now it is clear who is preventing him from working. In this case, only the sword method can help. I had to remove this worm from the road with my own hands. All this time he was worried that his double might cause problems, but everything turned out to be much simpler. Just when it seemed that the situation was finally under control, Li Ho noticed the appearance of another enemy. He very quickly analyzed the situation and realized that it was not a double at all, but another player. He has already been injured by a double, so now he does not trust anyone and asks Li Ho to stay at a distance. I had to tell him what happened and explain that in front of him is the real Li Ho, whom you cannot be afraid of. It was only after that that Jun-sung was finally able to relax and smile. This boy was in urgent need of help, so Li Ho immediately took him to the sorceress Sol Che. It seemed to him that he had finally found his friends and could feel safe, but very quickly found out that this was not the case. With the help of his sensitivity skills, he realized that he was facing dangerous doppelgangers who wanted him dead. He managed to get his sword and start defending himself. Another second and it would be too late to do anything. Li Ho immediately felt that this situation was quite strange. These doppelgangers started attacking him too actively from the very beginning, especially Sol Che. Probably she is the one who understands his potential best of all, so she decided to kill him first. Li Ho is very lucky that his progress has reached a new level. With the help of martial arts techniques, he easily defends himself against enemies of a similar level. It seemed that the worst was behind him, but at that moment an arrow almost pierced his head. Turning back, Li Ho couldn't believe that he was actually seeing it with his own eyes. It turned out that he was shot by Jun Sung. He was smiling, and his entire appearance showed his desire to kill. For a while, Li Ho lost his sense of reality. He could not understand what was happening. I had to take out my sword and show these twins who the real master of martial arts is here. Jun Sung managed to retreat to a safe distance and hide, watching the events unfold with a terrifying smile on his face. In fact, this guy is at a high level of training. He is an archer, although he used to be a deep-sea fisherman. His hobby was always hidden from others. But now it became obvious that he likes to hunt not only fish, but also people. He continued to laugh as if he had turned into a joker, which is probably why this situation seems funny. Li Ho smiled back at him. He had been waiting to see the true face of this traitor for a long time, but he did not expect that he would turn out to be so insane. It turns out that Li Ho knew from the beginning that he was going to get backstabbed, so he was just acting as well. With the help of his sensitivity skill, he can see the statuses of other players, so the boy guessed that there was an obsessed killer in front of him. All that was left was to wait for Jun Sung to show his true colors, and that moment soon arrived. Now it remains to understand the motives of this psycho. Is gold and statistics really so important to him? This guy probably doesn't need a reason. This world gives him the opportunity to kill others, and he wants to take advantage of it. It always seemed that he had no choice, but it turned out that killing other people brings him extreme pleasure. Now he aimed his arrow at Li Ho and fired. A little more and another player would die. This is exactly what would have happened if Li Ho had been a normal player without the help of the system. Jun Sung has proven to be a true psychopath and maniac, but now his time in this world must come to an end. To begin with, Li Ho will have to completely destroy these two dangerous doppelgangers before he can get to their boss. This will be very difficult to do because they have formed an almost perfect alliance, the best swordsman and healer together with the archer. It is not known how Jun Song was able to persuade the doppelgangers to work for him, but it must be admitted that his plan is brilliant. In order to catch a big fish, you need to be very organized, and this guy really has all the right characteristics. He likes to hurt other people. Like a real psychopath, he gets pleasure from human suffering. Li Ho found himself in an extremely difficult situation. All conditions turned against him, but this does not mean that he will give up. He activated the absolute sensitivity skill to finally stop his enemies. Li Ho admits that they have put together an outstanding combination of characteristics in one team, but even that will not be enough to defeat him. You can call him an extraordinary hero, or you can say that he is a simple cheater. In any case, he is really special. In the face of true power, all these combinations of players and characteristics become powerless. Thus, within a few minutes, both doppelgangers were brutally and uncompromisingly killed. The same turned to talk to the psychopath. A tough battle was expected, but this fool fell to his knees and began to beg for mercy. He said that he lost his mind, but now he admits all his mistakes and is ready to change and get on the right path. Of course, this was all just to distract Li Ho and deliver a sneaky blow. Psychopaths never leave their role. Li Ho is no longer a little boy. He is ready for any insidious intentions of his opponents, so he waited for the right moment to counterattack. It turned out to be a rather strange situation. The fisherman tried to catch a fish and thought that it would not cause him any problems. But sometimes it turns out that there are much bigger fish in the world, and even an experienced fisherman can face incredible problems. In this way, not only two doppelgangers were killed, but also one of the team's players. Of course, this should lead to even more problems. Soon the system reported that Li Ho had discovered the blood path. After killing a person, he got the opportunity to go through the path of blood. If he accepts this challenge, he will get an improvement in his characteristics. At first, nothing was clear, but a little later an unknown woman appeared in front of him, and now he must make a choice. Li Ho can accept this challenge and get a stat boost. But on the other hand, this challenge might be the last in his life. In addition to the improved stats, he will also be able to control the doppelgangers. Now it is clear how exactly Jun Sung gained the support of the doppelgangers. He will also be able to get legendary armor, access to legendary skills, exclusive talents, and stat boosts. Although he was nervous when he killed doppelgangers, he knew that they were not human, so he did it without feeling guilty. From this moment on, he will have to deal with players more often. Among them will be those who choose the path of blood. He can't take that choice. Any stat boosts are no match for a soul sold to the devil. Li Ho refused this offer and decided that he would not become an obsessed psychopath. Soon he returned to the mountain and saw in front of him happy players who were waiting for him. I got the impression that he was most happy to see Kim. It was noticeable that he was nervous about his new friend. It must be admitted that his offer was difficult to accept, but now he thanks everyone for their trust. He said that he had actually learned to distinguish doppelgangers, and thanked him for following all his instructions. Soon he asked people not to panic, and said that his doppelganger was approaching them. Of course, everyone was shocked. People tried to remain calm, but each of them felt the approaching danger. Now they are really in trouble, which is why Li Ho wanted to solve the problem with his doppelganger early. He would have done all that, but his plan failed because of Jun Sung, and now it's too late to think about it. Now it's a game between him and his double, and all the other people don't know which one is the real one. At the moment, there are only 8 players left. If the 5 doppelgangers he has already seen are revealed, the players' identities will be established. The problem is that his double has the same knowledge as him, so they even talk. Of course, it is not difficult to guess that this completely changes the whole situation at the same time. Now no one will be able to trust Li Ho. The double immediately took the initiative and began to assure others that he was the original. A lot depends on the players now. They should not blindly trust one of Li Ho. It should not be forgotten that now there are not only doubles of players, but also a double of Jun Sung. This guy is a high-level player leader whom everyone trusts. He always supported everyone in difficult times. The doppelganger assured the players that the real Jun Sung had been killed, and now they should not trust the assassins. The doppelganger really chose a smart and interesting tactic to win. He used this situation to his advantage. The players decided to trust him. They took out their weapons and prepared to kill the real Li Ho. Kim decided to stop the others. He said that even he could turn out to be a double, so they can't blindly trust the words of one side. The real Li Ho tried to remain calm, although he understood that the situation was not pleasant at all. Soon he decided to step forward and tell the others that he had indeed killed the real Jun Sung. There is a fact about which even his doppelganger does not know. It is the fact that Jun Sung turned out to be a traitor. That is why Li Ho took out his weapon and approached the doppelganger of this devious psychopath. He gave him a powerful blow with his sword, after which all the other players immediately prepared to defend themselves. If all this is really true, then the real Li Ho is a murderer and they won't be able to trust him anymore. It was he who brought them all together, so all the odds are in their favor. If a doppelganger kills a player, they can't attack or risk revealing themselves. Although if Li Ho can really see them, then by killing his double he will be able to confirm that he is the original. It was only now that the players began to guess that Jun Sung had killed one of the players, and it was because of this that Li Ho had to act in this way. Li Ho confirmed their theory. He said that Jun Sung was a real devil, hiding his true face perfectly and waiting for the perfect moment. At that moment, one girl remembered how Jun Sung had saved her life in the battle with the monsters. She cannot believe that someone considers him a devil, so she is ready to fight for his honor to the last drop of blood. Surprisingly, at that very moment, an arrow flew into her back and pierced her heart through. It is not difficult to guess that it was done by Jun Sung, or to be more precise, his double. So one more player was killed, and all the other players realized that Li Ho was telling the truth all this time. This obsessed devil missed the face of fear. He will get incredible pleasure when he feels how people are afraid of him. This situation was immediately intervened by the warrior Shi Chang, who struck a good blow and killed Jun Sung. Now he admits that he was wrong to doubt Li Ho, and is willing to do whatever it takes to regain his trust. Now everyone recognized that Li Ho is really their leader, and they are ready to go even to the ends of the earth at his command. He wanted to seize the moment and make a final suggestion, but at that moment his doppelganger began to attack. It's always interesting to watch a battle of twins. Their characteristics are the same, but only one of them should win. Everyone around started fighting with their doppelgangers. It's really interesting to watch, especially if you don't take part in it. Doppelgangers have adopted their characteristics and strengths, but if you level up, you can complete this mission without too much loss. If it wasn't for the bastard Jun Sung, this task would have been accomplished much easier. Everyone wanted to do without victims, but what happened happened. Time cannot be turned back. Maybe the situation in other zones with other players is even worse. Not everyone can pass the test, just like Li Ho. Someone chooses the path of blood and is ready to sell his soul to the devil. People follow this path to survive, and they can be understood. The coming battle will be even more fierce. Li Ho must become stronger to lead the people behind him. He seems too weak lately, but there must be a reason why he got his superpowers. Up to this point, everything was going quite well. But even now, there are people who believe in him, and he will do everything possible to save them. Sichan and the other players came up to him to thank him for his help, despite his level. Li Ho did more than everyone else. Now they guessed that Li Ho received some additional characteristics, besides the level, that helps him to be successful. This experienced warrior apologized for his mistrust, and is now ready to support Li Ho in the future. He will no longer doubt and ignore such a leader, although Li Ho believes that it is not necessary to go that far. Now they all hope that in the future, this special guy will become their leader and lead them forward. A huge responsibility rests on his shoulders, and he must accept it, because there is no other candidate for this role. Let's return to virtual reality and see what happened 5 minutes before the end of the mission. The players have destroyed almost all of their opponents, but the last doppelganger remains. Li Ho soon found him and did what he had to do. Now all the doppelgangers are destroyed. After returning to the lobby, the calculation of gold began according to the results of the work. Everyone was rewarded for their own merits. It even turned out that Kim earned significantly more than most of the players. So everyone did according to Li Ho's recommendations and got a good reward. He is satisfied with that. He is especially pleased with his own result, because he earned more than everyone else. He reached 10,000 coins on the balance and now has access to the improved shop. In order to buy rare items, you need to increase the rank of the store. After that, you can increase your level of martial arts. He had unknowingly used a battle technique above his level and had now discovered the skill of a beginning swordsman. After that, he decided to give Sol Che some gold as a gift. The girl was surprised but accepted this gift. She always helped him, so now he wants to do something nice for her. In a place where survival sometimes requires killing others, they can laugh and rely on each other. They should support each team member and be true friends. Sol Che is an important element of this team, and Li Ho hopes that she will always be by his side in the future. The girl smiled and promised to become stronger. With this money, she increased the level of her healing abilities. After that, Li Ho gave some coins to Kim in order for him to increase his intelligence and stop being like a monkey. This guy really has potential. If nurtured right, he could be very useful. Now they have rested enough, and it is time to test the basic skill of the 3rd level. Soon the mission on the 3rd floor began. New adventures and troubles are waiting for the players, and they should be ready for it. The task is called a siege. Here they will meet players from other districts for the first time. The conditions for completing this mission are quite simple. Their group is assigned the task of attacking others. They have 24 hours to do this. Players also received a temporary item, a stone of return, exclusive to the 3rd floor. While the players were upset about having to kill other people again, Li Ho was trying to figure out how they should act. Soon Kim went to the mountain. He thinks that this mission is strange, because death will not be real here. On this floor, the return stone returns them to their original position after death. It's really interesting. Li Ho had promised him 100 gold coins after scouting, so upon hearing this, Kim immediately agreed to such terms. He came extremely motivated and ready to destroy everything around him for the reward. Soon, with the help of his powerful blows, he was able to break through the gates of this fortress. Surprisingly, as soon as he stepped inside, the gate was immediately restored and closed. Ahead, he saw an altar and a group of people who had gathered there for an unknown mission. He immediately remembered Li Ho's words that they should not kill anyone, otherwise everyone would understand the purpose of the return stone. Kim is too stupid to listen to orders. He thinks it's just a bunch of low-level soldiers, and he can quickly destroy them. It seemed that way until some unknown force hit him in the face and broke his nose. He tried to understand what happened, but his vision deteriorated for a while and he began to lose consciousness. Soon Kim found the strength to return to his team and told about what happened. He said he was shot with something that looked like a gun. It was a magic bullet, or something like that. It seemed that it was completely impossible. Even Ants Chan, an experienced warrior, did not have such a weapon. This can only mean that their opponents have adopted the path of blood and gained additional elements in the game. Now it is obvious that this battle will not be easy at all. But Sol Che asks his leader not to worry. She is ready to support him even in the most difficult moments in life. That's what true support means. Everyone else also started shouting and said that they are ready for anything for the successful completion of the mission. It's always great to see his soldiers so motivated. It's great, and Li Ho is ready to lead them to victory. While he was explaining the plan to his comrades in this fortress during the moonlight, truly strange things were happening. Li Ho still has a very useful second-floor skill. Incredible sensitivity is always needed in difficult situations. Taking a closer look, he saw that only 2 guards were watching over the fortress. Of course, they can guess what the return stone is for, but most likely they will think that it is just a peculiarity of Kim. As soon as this big bodybuilder approached the walls of the fortress, the archers immediately saw him and began to attack. This is different from when he first came. He was very lucky to have a true friend by his side. He was able to protect Kim from sharp arrows, but with the help of his back, he got to the walls of the fortress. After just a few seconds, the archers were brutally killed. Li Ho had no other choice. They cannot screw up because the opponents guess what the return stone is for, so all players must attack at full power. Kim ordered everyone to follow him in order to break through the defensive door of the fortress. He prepared to use a stone fist, and just at that moment again missed a powerful blow to his face. The gate is only 0% broken, so his attack didn't work at all and didn't help anyone. Li Ho watched all this from the upper wall and could not understand what was happening. The guards cannot understand why he left them alive, but now they are sure that he will not be able to escape. They explained that no one can escape from the woman who leads them in this fortress. Her name is Seon Soyeon. This woman is a 13th level assassin. She has sniper skills and wields dangerous weapons. Li Ho was shocked when he realized that he would have to fight a high-level assassin. It seems that she arranged a real room on the second floor, and thanks to this they got additional characteristics. Now she started attacking Li Ho, and even his reaction speed is not enough to dodge these attacks. Her shot was accurate, so she had to drink a magic potion to regain her strength. Now Li Ho's body will have something similar to a protective suit. It will be able to help in the battle against such a strong opponent. Analyzing her strengths and weaknesses, he guessed that she had not yet learned to quickly restore her mana. Each shot takes a lot of energy, so you have to use it and destroy this woman. Li Ho is lucky that he will not go through this mission alone. Behind him is a team of like-minded people who are ready to die for their captain. They must push forward and succeed. Only one of these two teams will survive. Let's go back a little and see exactly how they plan to succeed in this mission, because from the very beginning it was obvious that they would be shot at. Li Ho explained that she won't have enough bullets to kill Kim because they are magical, so they take a lot of energy. So if you survive one accurate hit, then after that the chances of victory will be much higher. All this becomes possible with the help of Sol Che's extraordinary abilities. Today her role is even more important than before. Soyeon ordered her men to attack and not stop until this battle was won. This is where the difficulties arise. During close combat, there is a risk of losing several comrades due to sniper shots. They need to get to the assassin as quickly as possible, although for this they will have to destroy all opponents on their way. With each new battle, this team becomes more cohesive and dangerous. They help each other and work for the good of the collective. Jun-ho was able to protect his leader with his sword, but was killed within a second. With every minute more and more team members die, the situation starts to get out of control. This dangerous woman is causing too much trouble with her weapon. Of course, they all have a stone of return, so they will be able to return to life. But this does not mean that you can forget about the danger. With his sword, Li Ho activated the beginner swordsman's skill and showed off his talents. He approached Soyeon and prepared to kill the leader of the opposing team. As his team members continued to attack, Kim activated the stone fist skill and prepared to show the power of the Hulk. At such moments, he realizes that this fool can really be very useful if he becomes at least a little smarter. Meanwhile, the leaders met each other. The assassin tries to understand how Li Ho can be so strong, even though he is only level 2. The system reported that the altar was captured by 30%. Now it is necessary to get rid of the opponent's player. It takes several more players to completely occupy this territory, but all this must be done only after the destruction of Soyeon. It will not be very easy to do this. Although in the conditions of close combat the sword becomes much more useful, she is still too strong an opponent. Seo Junho is the same swordsman as Li Ho. He is one of the strongest in the team and used to be a brilliant ping-pong player. In table tennis, where the result of the game is decided in seconds, it is not easy to follow the fastball. Therefore, the higher the level of players, the better they read the position and direction of the opponent's gaze. They learn how to predict the path of the sword, which is why Jun-ho was called a prediction master. Thanks to him, Li Ho got a hint and understood what his opponent would do in the next second. They really deserve each other, I have to say frankly. These two would make a great couple. Meanwhile, Li Ho's team successfully destroyed their opponents and informed him about it. Soon, Soyeon guessed that the Stone of Return could bring back to life, although now it didn't matter at all. If she tries to use some trick and strike, Li Ho will be able to withstand it and then destroy her. It turned out that Soyeon has a lot of gold in reserve, and she decided to spend this money on increasing her sniper level. Now it became much stronger, and its accuracy reached a new level, and Li Ho personally felt it in a few seconds. The members of his team could not believe that they were seeing it with their own eyes, but this is the reality. It turned out that everything is not as bad as it seems because they were able to complete this mission. Li Ho didn't expect such accurate shots at the very end, but he acted in anticipation. At the same moment, his sword was able to pierce the heart of this extraordinary lady. She managed to say the last words and promised to remember his name for the rest of her life. After that, these 3 players occupied the altar, and they were able to complete the mission successfully. Now it remains to be hoped that they will never meet Soyeon and her team again. Just at that moment, a huge portal opened near them, and they saw the same people they were fighting on the 3rd floor. Due to the fact that they lost, now a cruel punishment awaits them in the form of a huge monster. His targets will be players who did not kill any opponent during the mission. It was hard to watch them scream in fear. Sol Che said that they had a duty to help these people. It is not yet clear how exactly to do this because it is impossible to get into this portal. So they could only calmly watch how these poor people were brutally killed by a huge monster. Soon the players were informed that there was only one surviving player left in this zone, and now the group would be reorganized. One player who survives is the one who was able to kill the opponent during the mission. It is not difficult to guess that it was Soyeon, the leader of this team, a high-level assassin. She's not very pleased, and neither is Lee Ho. No wonder he was restless all this time. The players rested, and very quickly it was time to start a new mission on the 4th floor. They found themselves in a ruined city. 6 hours later, a catastrophe will begin here. They must hunt monsters to find a portal to escape. These portals are created randomly. 20 portals will be created in total. These portals cannot be given to others. They only have 6 hours for this entire task. It seemed that everything was perfect. The portal has a large number, so you won't have to worry about competition. But we must not forget that if one person opens several portals, others will not be able to use it, because portals cannot be transferred. It may seem that there are really many portals, but this may be an ambush of the tower. The players agreed that as soon as the portals were opened, they should end their hunt for monsters and start running. Now that everyone understood the essence of this mission, Lee Ho felt for the first time that they were like a real team. There's only one problem. The new team member isn't going to work with the others. She does not want to be told what to do, and she's going to go through this task on her own. Of course, this made all the other members of the team incredibly angry. They were not used to such an attitude here. Let's go back 12 hours in the past and see what happened when Soyeon just joined these players. Kim tried to explain to her that the rules are completely different here, and no one is going to listen to her orders. And it was at this moment that he missed a powerful blow to the face. Yes, this girl is completely different. You can even say that she is a real general, and not a classic lady. Lee Ho decided to address her and told her not to cause trouble in someone else's territory. He has already taken down the original assassin, but now he has a new enemy on the team, and he must be very decisive if he wants to remain the leader. That's how they met again, and Lee Ho immediately informed the girl that they were not friends at all. At that moment, his system informed him that Soyeon wanted to designate him as his main target. His value has been recognized, so he is now the assassin's prime target and doomed to die. For this, their conversation was completed, but this conflict will still play an important role in this story. Now they are on the 4th floor and will have to forget about Soyeon for a while to destroy the monsters. Despite the danger, they must kill these monstrous creatures in order to be able to escape into the portal. Soon Kim destroyed his first monster and opened a portal. Looks like a fairly easy task. It turned out that Lee Ho was secretly watching him all this time. He doesn't want to leave this fool unattended. As soon as the portal was opened, it was time to immediately save Kim's life. Now there was one less problem, and soon the system notified that the guide was updated. The assassin fully reveals his characteristics when the Day of Blood comes. If the assassin kills Lee Ho on the Day of Blood, he receives a high reward. It is necessary to direct all our forces to increase the level and prepare for this, because when the Day of Blood comes, then the real difference will begin and many will die. For now, you have to destroy monsters and do everything possible to open your own portal. Plus, killing monsters gives you experience points, so that's a nice bonus. After the destruction of the monster, the portal was not opened, so everything is not so simple on this 4th floor. It was necessary to watch for Soyeon, who had already killed several monsters. Soon Lee Ho smelled an unpleasant smell. It felt like someone had died here, and it had been quite a while. The system said that all orcs stink, but the orc that left the portal stinks especially terribly. This means that it is necessary to taste the blood again and destroy the potential danger. With this murder, a portal was created for Lee Ho, so he guaranteed himself an escape from this place. A little later, an interesting conversation took place between Soyeon and Lee Ho. From the very beginning, it was even hard to believe that all this was actually happening. Lee Ho came to this girl and on his knees began to beg to let him live. He said that he is very unlucky and his portal does not open. He had never won anything in his life and was not created for such missions. That's why he came to her. In fact, he deliberately avoids orcs that open portals. If this woman must kill him on the Day of Blood, then she has no choice but to hand over her prey to him. It would be much worse for her if he died here without opening a new portal, even though he already did and didn't tell her about it. Judging by the system indicators, the rest of the team has no problems, which is great news. His behavior annoyed Soyeon incredibly. Sometimes it seemed to her that she could not resist and kill him right now. He feels guilty and exhilarated at the same time every time he destroys an orc. It's similar to their relationship with Soyeon, because she's constantly thinking about how and when to kill Lee Ho. The guy tried to understand why she was so tense, and let me remind you that he did not open any portal. He wants to know how many portals she managed to open and asks her to be nicer to him. It turned out that this killer had already opened 5 portals, which is a lot compared to Lee Ho. The other 11 players will open exactly 1 portal each, leaving 3 portals in total. If only 3 portals remain, then there will be only 2 of them on the 4th floor, and it will be necessary to resolve their conflict. Lee Ho said that he would find a way out himself and asked her to run away, but the girl was not going to do it. She took a step towards him and said that she completely forgot where her portals are. It is not clear whether it is an acting game or she really forgot everything. Lee Ho soon returned to the tower. He passed through the portal and found himself in a safe place. He was immediately met by a happy Kim. The relationship between these two boys has changed a lot lately. Lee Ho didn't come back alone. He was with Soyeon. It seemed that now the worst was over. Junho stepped forward and said that even though they met as enemies, they are now allies and should become true friends. Although he did everything in his power, this girl is not going to change and take a step towards new friends. Kim said that she would rather die on the 4th floor because she doesn't fit in with their team. The system will not be able to save from death, and Lee Ho perfectly understands this. So he wants this girl to owe him. He should watch her more carefully because she can be a real threat. Until the Day of Blood, nothing bad should happen, of course, not counting the meeting with the Kum Kum rabbit. As soon as he appeared, everyone around was immediately frightened, but not Soyeon. She immediately took out her gun and shot the rabbit in the head. This is her signature greeting to new acquaintances. The rabbit immediately rose from the dead and approached the girl. He does not like to be greeted in this way. That's why he gave a powerful blow and made Soyeon feel pain. She needs to be taught good manners. This rabbit is really very powerful because he was able to easily demonstrate his strength against such a strong assassin. Given his characteristics, he was condescending to her. She must be important to this tower. The rabbit asked everyone around to calm down and said that it was time for the next mission, and that's why he was here. Before going to the next floor, he wants to change the light on this floor and make a library here. Each of them must choose one book for themselves, on which their future fate depends. If they choose the right book, they will stay alive. If they make a bad choice, they will die. Therefore, their choice really affects their fate, and no one has the right to reveal the content of his book to other comrades. As soon as the mission on the 5th floor begins, all the books will disappear, so he wishes not to regret his choice. He said whatever he wanted and immediately disappeared, so the players set out to find the right book. Of course, everyone is looking for a category related to their class. In such a situation, looking for something else is a waste of time. The system asked Lee Ho to select a book about chance encounters of the highest-ranking regressor. He soon complied with this request, as if he was being asked to start reading novels. It is no longer possible to change your choice and reveal the contents of the book, so now the boy is worried about whether he made the right choice. After reading a few pages, he thought that this was some kind of absurdity, and began to doubt that he trusted the system. Meanwhile, he saw that each member of his team made a wise choice and chose the right book. Junho chose a swordsmanship book, Kim chose King of Fist Techniques, and Sol Che a classic Korean medical text. Soon time ran out and they found themselves on the 5th floor in a school classroom. It is not yet clear who all these people are around. Their time seems to have stopped and they all look younger. It's like they all went back in time and became teenagers. It's especially funny to watch Kim. Even at that age, he still looks like the Hulk. Although Sol Che looks completely different, she is still a real beauty. It's hard to believe that Lee Ho is now sitting next to the young version of Soyeon. Although she looks a little different, her character is just as fiery as in the future. Soon they heard the rabbit's voice. He explained that the task on the 5th floor is a role-playing game. This is another dimension where people and monsters exist. From this moment on, they are cadets who will undergo training at the Monster Hunter Academy. In the next 4 days, quests will appear, and if they do not pass the task, they will immediately be sent on a deadly mission. Lee Ho has already survived a deadly mission once, but it will be much more difficult for a normal player to avoid death. Instead of this novel, he should have found something useful, like a martial arts book. Now it's too late to think about it, because the memories necessary for the role-playing game have started to download. Each of the players received a portion of personally formed memories. Lee Ho is also no exception. When he received memories of his head, he almost lost consciousness from the pain. He was lucky that the injection ended very quickly. Now there are 2 sets of memories in his head. One gets the impression that his new memories are taken from a book about chance encounters of the highest-ranking regressor. The rabbit said that the quest will start after the lessons, and now the players should enjoy the knowledge. People started to move. If this is really a novel, then Lee Ho and his friends won't be supporting characters. Taking a closer look, he began to guess that a guy named Yoon could be our main character. He is a regressor who knows his future. Thanks to this knowledge, many random encounters will fall on his fate, and he will receive incredible power. Usually no one can answer the teacher's question, but he will try. Lee Ho decided to outdo this protagonist and tell the correct answer to this question before him. He learned this answer with the help of a book that he took with him to the 5th floor, and now he no longer regrets it. Now it is clear why the system gave a recommendation for this particular novel, and this should be used. Now it is obvious that he does not need books on martial arts and fencing. Now he is ready to take away all the opportunities that the main character of this novel received. Soon the lessons ended, and the students had free time for rest. Many people were trying to figure out how Li Ho learned the correct answer to the question, because it really looked strange. Also, everyone is nervous because they know that the quest will start soon. If everything will happen as in the book, then the quest will start right now, and ready for it. The system informed the players that they should prepare and clear the dungeon that opened near the building. Well, they have no more than an hour to complete this task, and if the task is not completed, a deadly mission awaits them. The item that drops from the boss of this dungeon will be very useful later. Of course it should go to Yoon, but Li Ho will try to take it for himself. He asked the other players to speed up and do their best to avoid the deadly mission. This dungeon is called Orc's Lair, and Yoon is very surprised that he is not the only one going through this mission. He saw that other students came to this dungeon, which means that he will not be able to take all the treasures. Not going to waste a single second of precious time, Li Ho took out his sword and immediately sprung into action. His swordsmanship skills get better with each new mission, which is what you'd expect from a true cheater. It was also immediately noticeable that all the players from his team became stronger, despite going back in time. Yoon watched them and couldn't believe that he didn't remember someone so strong from school. If everything continues at the same pace, he will remain without a reward, so you need to act decisively. That is why he took out his main weapon and prepared to show his skills. The main character is really very strong. Even Li Ho was surprised to see his technique. He is not going to give his reward to someone else so easily, so he will have to fight to the very end. 70% of the monsters were destroyed in the first 10 minutes, but to get the reward you have to defeat the boss of this dungeon, and it won't be easy. Of course Yoon is very strong, but with the help of the sensitivity skill, Li Ho can easily find the monsters in this dungeon. We completely forgot about Soyeon. This girl also dreams of the first place, and is not going to give the victory to any guy. She had already lost the battle to Li Ho in the past, and now she was not going to concede anything to him. These three are really on a completely different level. It seems that they do not need the help of other team members at all. It is noticeable that today he is fighting even more desperately than usual. It seems to the players that their leader is doing everything to prevent them from going on a deadly mission, but in reality, Li Ho just wants to get a reward. In any case, now his authority is even greater than before, and in the future he will use it. Soon the orcs were destroyed, and now the room of the boss of this dungeon was created. Yoon can challenge this boss, the system reported. Li Ho was incredibly angry. He tried his best to get this opportunity, but it still wasn't enough. He does not know what to do. Is it time to give up and give his opponent the opportunity to take the first place? Finally, he decided to turn to Yoon and asked him to give up the right to challenge the boss. If he does this, Li Ho will tell him how to break the chains of regression and free himself from this curse. Soon the door to the boss's room opened. It turned out that the Li Ha's plan worked, and he got this chance. The main thing is that now he does not regret his choice, because the battle with the boss can turn into a real test. Before that, there was a serious conversation with Yoon. He tried to understand Li Ho's motives. The boy was surprised that this newbie had learned about his regression and was now eager to hear the answers. Li Ho was not nervous at all. He is sure that living as a regressor is very boring. This regression began in November of the 17th year. This is known with the help of the book. Many people are jealous of people entering the golden years of their lives. Usually in these years, young boys and girls are ready for any actions. The best thing about these years is that you only get to live them once. But Yoon was cursed and tired of it. If he gives up the boss room, Li Ho is ready to tell him how to break the chains of regression. Yoon has dreamed of lifting the curse of endless regression for thousands of years. He has no choice but to accept this offer. Thus, he refused to challenge the boss and gave this opportunity to Li Ho. Now he is the one who will have to fight this extremely large orc and risk his own life for the reward. This task really looks extremely difficult. The main thing is not to get nervous and keep calm. The boss immediately activated the orc warrior's roar skill. Most attackers immediately lose their fighting spirit when they hear this sound. The incredible sensitivity not only enhances all the senses of Li Ho's body, but also perfectly blocks any psychological attacks of opponents. With the help of this, he cannot be afraid of any scary sounds and immediately move to a counterattack. The opponent's upper part is made of steel, but his lower part is quite weak and must be attacked. If you deliver accurate blows to the legs, you can deprive your opponent of mobility. It was this strategy that Li Ho chose, and it very quickly began to bear fruit for him. All that was left was to strike the final blow and send this monster to hell, and there were no problems with that. An item drops from the orc warrior after the boss room is cleared. Once that's done, it's time to rest. About his free time, Li Ho spends with Kim. After an active battle, he needs to drink some coffee and relax. If you are very attentive, you can notice that a golden ring has appeared on the hand of our main character. There are only 2 mythic items in this novel. One of them is Yoon's weapon, Gungnir, an item that always hits the target. The second item is the Ring of Nike, a mythic class that significantly increases the character of the wearer. It's the same cheat item as Gungnir. This ring will be great insurance for Li Ho in the future. Now, the protagonist of this novel will have to act without this ring in the future, but Li Ho will give him the information he needs. Meanwhile, Soyeon approached Li Ho and said she wanted to play with him. Rock, scissors, boom is not a game of luck at all. On the contrary, the game tests your reflexes. They are going to play for gold coins to make this game several times more interesting. The next day, from the very morning, students gathered near the school in the yard. This is the same classic scene of all novels, a hit on a machine to measure combat power. When they hit the crystal, their level of strength and magic will be replaced. They will need this result in the task in 2 days. Everyone is interested to see how strong the cadets are. Everyone wants to show themselves from the best side and demonstrate their talent. Surprisingly, this was not at all in the downloaded memories. Maybe this scene is not important. It was the turn of the first cadet to demonstrate his strength. He struck a powerful blow and showed a really high score, 69 points. Everyone around was very surprised because the previous performance of the cadets was half as low. Kim took off his t-shirt and ordered everyone to get out of the way, because now he will show what real power is. His shot turned out to be really extremely powerful. He broke the record with an indicator of 75 points. After that, it was Soyeon's turn. It seems that this crazy girl never leaves the house without her gun. In any case, he helps her because thanks to this weapon, she was able to show a new record. Even this indicator did not last long because when it was Yoon's turn, he broke the record. After the test was completed, everyone went to a local canteen for a delicious meal. Li Ho decided not to hit too hard and save more strength for the next day. If he really shows his level of leadership, it will be more difficult to get on the same team as Yoon during the trial. Soon, right during the meal, the players were informed that the second quest was about to begin. Their mission will be to rescue Cadet Yoon. They have 1 hour for this task. All this will take place in the central park of the embankment. After returning from his studies, Yoon decided to beat up the local hooligans a bit. One of them, Ha Pil, turned out to be the son of Park Yong-seok, the boss of Red Moon, one of the 10 largest guilds. That is why this boss called the best warriors to find and kill Yoon. In the original of this story, he must be saved by some unknown woman. Now everything is different, and all the cadets must immediately go and find this boy, while he is still alive. You will have to exert yourself and demonstrate all your talents, because it will be difficult to deal with these opponents in ordinary ways. No matter how experienced Yoon is, he is just an ordinary cadet, so he needs to be saved. Meanwhile, this guy had real problems because he ended up in a den of real wolves. It seemed that everything would end badly, but at the last moment, salvation came. This girl with the gun is getting more and more likable. She will be a perfect match for the main character. But more on that later. Li Ho asked no one to hurry, but Kim didn't hear those words at all and immediately prepared his stone fists. You will have to support this guy and all together start an attack on the opponents. There are only 3 enemies, but the difference in levels is obvious. The only chance to gain an advantage is to attack as unexpectedly as possible. Yoon decided to help his comrades and also participate in this battle. His reaction is at a great level. This battle is extremely interesting to watch, although the cadets are very young, but they already have the potential to become legendary warriors. Although Kim has lost his mind, his power can still be used for the benefit of the team. The stone fists were supposed to destroy their opponent, but it turned out that this would not be enough. Only now did the cadets realize that they were in a very difficult situation, and now they are all trapped. Their enemy turned out to be much stronger than they expected, and now they will have to show all their potential to stay alive. All this time they were under the protection of the academy, and had no idea how dangerous the surrounding world could be. Now they will have to grow up very quickly and accept the challenges of adult life. While some of the team members tried to detain the enemies, Sol Che calmly treated the wounded. Now is the time to reveal the skills from the received books and show your mastery in martial arts. Each of the cadets received knowledge and now must demonstrate it in practice. These bandits did not understand anything at all. They do not know anything about books and quests, and it seems that they are fighting for mentally retarded children. It is a real challenge for them. They cannot lose to the kindergarten and return to the boss with nothing. In this forest today, there is real rock and roll. It seems that an infinity war is taking place here. Now they can really be compared to the real Avengers. They have become an outstanding team. This became possible only after completing the past missions. All these tests strengthened their friendship. The experience of their enemies is on a completely different level, but this does not mean that the outcome of the battle will be so obvious. These 3 form a triangle of death. If you destroy even one of them, all the others will lose their power. It's easy to talk about, but in reality these thugs are like an iron door without a single crack. The cadets are very lucky to have Sol Che with them. Without her treatment, they would all have ended up in the hospital. Their enemies understand that they should not spare these children, so they will fight at full strength. It is not surprising that their main target was a sorceress who heals the wounded. Yun had to step in and deliver a powerful blow with his special Gungunir weapon. Amazingly, it worked, and now the triangle of death was broken. There is a crack in the big iron door, and they have to take advantage of it. The team members surrounded their enemy and decided to take advantage of the opportunity while he was fighting without his support. They are worried about the unexpected delays, and Li Ho perfectly understands the reason for their worry. The key is to stay as a team and follow the plan, and Li Ho has an idea how to win this battle. He looked at his enemies and said that their boss would surely be very disappointed. He knows that the head of the Red Moon Guild, Park Yong-seok, is a very aggressive and emotional man. This iron door begins to form more and more cracks. Soon it will not hold. A huge number of guild warriors have already died because of such an emotional leader. All these men understand and know what their boss is capable of. It becomes noticeable that these words had a strong impact on them. Now is the time to seize this opportunity and deliver the final blow. When they are worried, they cannot show all their talents, and this can be taken advantage of. With the help of a psychological and physical attack, you can defeat even the strongest enemy, and Li Ho has confirmed this. Thus, one of the three warriors was defeated, and everything happened extremely quickly. The guild warriors admitted their defeat and said that they were ready to stop there. They understand that their boss will be extremely disappointed, but they have nothing to regret, because very serious warriors fought against them. They said goodbye to these kids and teleported away, which could be considered a victory. The quest was completed and the cadets started celebrating. Today they deserved applause. Yun didn't have a smile on his face. He realized that Li Ho knew what was going to happen today. To begin with, it is better to thank for the rescue, because if it were not for them, Yun would have turned into fish food today. Now there are changes in a large number of Yun's lives, which did not happen in past regressions. He thinks that Li Ho is also a regressor, but in reality this guy is something much more. Yun approached him and reminded him that they never talked about how to get rid of the regression chains, that conversation could not wait any longer. The next day they returned to study. The teacher began to form teams for the next training session in the dungeon. In this dungeon, Li Ho will be able to test his new Tay armor that he bought after the last quest. Soon the teacher said that Li Ho and Yun would be on the same team, which was exactly what they were counting on. To get the best awards, you need to get into the best team, but it's too early to rejoice. Yun knows that in the dungeon in which they will conduct training, everything will not go according to plan. Events related to disasters are no longer surprising, but when everything happens at the same time, it is already nonsense. Every time Yun tried to find the reason, but he couldn't find anything, and now he wants Li Ho to help him. According to the plot of the novel, accidents occur in 3 teams during the passage of this dungeon. Only the team to which Yun belongs manages to escape. The problem is that the novel does not talk about the reasons for this situation, so no nuances are known. Li Ho tried to say that he didn't know why this was happening, but Yun refused to believe him. The author of the novel did not reveal all his plans at all, and this is not Li Ho's fault. During this conversation, Soyeon was passing by. She heard a familiar voice and stepped forward. She did not like what she saw in front of her. Now it is clear why these two constantly spend time together. She pretended that she was going in a completely different direction, turned around and started to run away. Soon the time for preparation ended, and the students prepared for a new task. They entered the dungeon and were tasked with clearing this area in the shortest possible time. Yun suggested splitting up and exploring the dungeon in groups. If one of the groups finds something interesting, it should immediately call its partners. The disaster occurs in the 4th, 9th, and 12th teams. In the 9th team, there is a member of Isol. Everything should be fine with them, thanks to her extraordinary healing abilities. Also, it's unlikely that anything will happen to Team Soyeon. She's a tower-blessed star, so she's unlikely to die. When Li Ho thinks about the 12th team, he realizes that it is with these players that problems may arise. Due to inattention, the boy did not pay attention to the fact that a pack of wolf monsters approached him. Do not forget that you are in a dangerous dungeon, because every mistake in this place can cost you your life. Next to Li Ho was 17-year-old Yon. His class is based on research, and he doesn't feel very confident in battles against monsters. In any case, next to him is the experienced Li Ho, who can single-handedly destroy any monster. He did all the dirty work and saved Ion, which is what you would expect from a more experienced player. This boy has been through a tough ordeal and is now very afraid of monsters and dungeons. He apologizes for his behavior but cannot do anything about himself. His psyche is broken. Surprisingly, Li Ho supported his behavior and said that he should do the same next time. They can die at any moment, so it's better to think about survival, especially if you can't protect yourself from monsters. He asked the boy not to feel guilty and to smile more. Now the relationship between them has become even better. Yan believes that before the apocalypse, Li Ho was also just as cool. If we talk about what happened before the disaster, we must remember that Li Ho lived in an orphanage. He struggled to survive and constantly battled discrimination until he became an adult and got a job. With the help of strange circumstances, he got into the tower and became a national hero, although before that he was a nobody. If there had not been a catastrophe on planet Earth, he would not have even lived to this moment. Lee Ho asked his partner to think of himself first, but he himself always risks his own life for the sake of others. This inspired John, and now he also wants to help others in difficult situations. It is always nice to see how the older generation sets the right example. The most important thing is the future, so it is better not to look back. Soon they came to a strange wall and John felt a very strong energy. Lee Ho's incredible sensitivity is silent now. Maybe other skills need to be activated. The decision was made almost instantly. He drew his weapon and activated the novice swordsman skill. It was a truly extraordinary blow that activated all this energy and resulted in an explosion of bright light. Soon the system informed them that the boys entered the labyrinth, so this wall really had its secrets. The most interesting thing is that in the novel, not a word was said about the labyrinth. Yoon also knew nothing about it. So it turns out that this place was not created by the author. Perhaps the root of the problem of the dungeon is hidden here. The boys went forward until they met some unknown and terrible creature. The first test in the labyrinth will be a meeting with the monster Gembra. It is an elf with quite strong characteristics. It turned out that this elf is not alone here. His experienced team of workers is by his side. The elves started talking to each other. At first they thought that these two guys were characters, but then they guessed that this is not the case at all. They said that these guys have changed the plot and will give Yoon a huge tip. Lee Ho explained that he is the person who read this story. He only recently found himself in this novel. Soon the elves told that they were doing repairs in this world. Lee Ho decided to make contact with them and began to say that they were doing a very difficult job. This immediately made the elves respect the boy. They were going to destroy him, but now they want to be friends. Then they said that they would help him lose his memories of this incident. But this cannot be allowed. If he forgot everything, then his whole journey would be in vain. So he decided to stop the elves and remind them of the plot problem. He said he would tell how to fix all the problems and help Yoon succeed. Soon the two boys exited the maze and returned to the dungeon. Lee Ho looked as if he was hypnotized. For a while he didn't pay attention to his partner at all and stared at one point. He recalled his conversation with the elves and the suggestion to fix the novel's plot problem. If nothing is changed, it will lead to disaster, and the romance will destroy the reputation of the elves. So they agreed. Lee Ho proposed to combine 3 dungeons that simultaneously fall into madness. In this way, they will be able to solve the situation with the monsters. Elves understand that if the dungeon becomes huge, then the reward must grow. This law cannot be broken. Now there's a new problem, because if Yoon gets too big of a reward, the plot can get messed up. That is why Lee Ho said that instead of Yoon, he should receive the reward. The elves immediately began to discuss this proposal. Lee Ho could only calmly wait for their verdict. Soon he heard that the elves again want to completely erase his memory, because this option is much simpler. They believe that his proposal will only create new problems if the secondary character stands out so much. He started yelling and begging them to stop, but the elves weren't going to listen to him at all. Lee Ho would have continued to think about this situation if not for the intervention of Yan, who tried to bring his friend back to the real world. After that, Lee Ho and Yan continued exploring the dungeon. They are very lucky that the mission on the 5th floor is limited in time. There is no need to erase the memory of that person who will soon disappear from this reality anyway. Soon Lee Ho noticed that his partner had a hammer. He had not had this weapon before. It turned out that while the elves were so busy with Lee Ho, Yan decided to take advantage of this and took their hammer. The elf repairman's hammer has a unique class and allows you to repair items and increase your success rate. It turned out that his partner is not so weak as previously thought. This guy can be useful in the future. The system reported a hidden mission. You need to complete the repair of the world of the novel. That is, achieve the highest merit in the dungeon. A secret agreement was made between Lee Ho and the elves. He received a personal task, but it is necessary to act secretly so as not to increase the problems in the plot. If he can do this, he will receive a personal reward, but he will have to go through difficulties. Due to an unknown energy, the dungeon went into a stage of insanity, and stronger monsters began to appear. 3 dungeons were combined into one single portal. From this moment you have to be very careful, because the risk of dying has increased several times. Lee Ho ordered his partner to find Yoon. With his research skills, he would be able to avoid the dangerous monsters. In fact, Yoon is much braver than he seems, so you don't have to worry about this guy. Meanwhile, huge and dangerous monsters began to appear in various parts of the dungeon. It is very difficult for the cadets to resist these monsters, because there is a huge difference in levels between them. If Sol Che hadn't been there, most of them would have been dead a long time ago. Soon, one huge monster was killed with an unknown weapon, a feat only a very strong player is capable of. This player turned out to be Soyeon. This girl took out a gun again and started killing everything that stands in her way. Lee Ho was in a hurry all this time. He knew that some students would be in dire danger and needed help. They must clear this dungeon as quickly as possible and avoid losses. It will be difficult to do because on their way they will meet huge scorpions that attack people with poison. Lee Ho soon found the one he was looking for, the Scorpion King in front of him, the biggest threat in this dungeon. This monster can attack with a huge amount of poison, and this is its main threat. Lee Ho knows that the fourth team is under Yoon's protection, so you don't have to worry about them. So now he must focus on his enemy and clear the 2 dungeons left for him. He can't let such a disaster happen before his eyes. Besides, it will help to increase his rank. The battle with the Scorpion King was started. The monster started to attack first, but his actions are too predictable. It seemed that until the moment he connected his tail to the battle, Lee Ho had completely forgotten about the danger of this part of his body. It almost cost him broken ribs. He must be more careful in the future if he wants to stay alive. He must find a way to break through the Scorpion's defenses and find his weak point. Now he will have to use his maximum and also apply an important item. He recently completed a quest and obtained the perfect defense skill. This technique can only be used once, and he decided to do it now. With the help of protection, you can get close to the enemy and not be afraid of being destroyed by his poison. This gives an opportunity to unleash the swordsman's potential and deliver an extremely powerful blow. Thus, the Scorpion King was finished. Now it remains to clear the dungeon where Kim is. Now it's even hard for him to believe that he really cares about Kim. Probably the last tests brought them closer. The first impression of this guy was very bad. But now the situation has completely changed. Now Lee Ho really starts to accept his fate and tries to save him. In any case, now he needs to concentrate. He got into another dungeon and does not yet know what will be waiting for him here. From the very beginning, he sensed danger and began to defend himself. An unknown creature began to attack him from the ground. It turned out that this is a horned mole of the 2nd level, not a very dangerous creature, but you still have to be careful with it. There are a lot of these monsters around the stunt, so you will have to work with your sword to clear your way. If Lee Ho is not focused, he will feel the real danger very quickly. These little critters can cause big problems, and that's exactly what happened to Kim's team. At first, they underestimated their opponents, and when they realized that these moles were dangerous, it was already too late. Kim destroyed a huge number of these ugly monsters. He was tired and completely forgot about concentration. It seemed that now he would pay dearly for his inattention, but he was lucky. At the last moment, Lee Ho came to his aid and saved this bodybuilder from certain death. This made Kim think of this guy even more and call him her best friend. Although Kim was saved, unfortunately, all the other members of this team died a terrible death. These moles turned out to be too strong, and Kim was unable to protect all players. Even if they were all supporting characters, they are still living people, and it's hard to lose them. They were all incredibly young and had to continue their journey, but today was their last battle. The boys started talking about escaping from this hellish place, and it was at that moment that they felt something like an earthquake. It turned out that the boss of the moles is not going to let these 2 tasty guys out of his territory. He went so far as to taste their flesh, but Lee Ho has completely different plans for tonight. The dungeon trial was soon completed, but that doesn't mean everyone is celebrating today. Although most of the students managed to survive, they are all incredibly saddened by the loss of their friends. Lee Ho is the most upset of all. He feels that he should have saved all the cadets, but he couldn't. Despite Yoon's constant regressions, he still couldn't stop the madness of the dungeon, so he's also in a bad mood. In any case, they should focus on the good points because a large number of cadets were saved. Now Yoon is ready to admit that his new friend is much more than an ordinary regressor. This conversation could be the beginning of a true friendship between outstanding warriors. Yoon still does not understand that his new friend is returning to the tower, and from tomorrow, everything will change. Lee Ho will climb to the next floor of the tower and continue his way to victory despite all the difficulties and problems. Perhaps fate has prepared something special for him. It remains only to go forward and see what awaits him. He's not alone in this journey. His loyal companions are by his side, so you cannot be afraid of any problems. The task on the 5th floor was successfully completed, and the players returned to the tower. Due to his achievements in the dungeon, Lee Ho received a mid-level swordsman skill, which was not available in the store, so he is extremely happy. The difference in levels was huge. He hoped to reach the highest rank of swordsman soon. He also received another important item for successfully completing a hidden mission, improving his characteristics by 10 points. With the help of increased characteristics, he was able to open a new subclass. He hopes that this subclass will be very important, such as a god of ruins, a master of runes, or a savior of shadows. The result was not what he expected because he received the Beast Tamer subclass. Now the animals will love him, and he will be able to enjoy his new skills. A little later, he received guidance on the strategy of the next floor, where a monster lives that can be tamed. This monster has great fighting skills and can be ridden, so it looks like a big wolf. He began to imagine how he will take care of his pet. This is the first time he looks forward to the next floor. Everything turned out to be not so simple. The way to the 7th floor turned out to be much more brutal than it seemed. The mission on the 6th floor was called Endless Struggle, and this name really perfectly characterizes what happened there. This battle lasted many hours in a row. I had to work very hard to successfully complete the task. Sometimes it seemed that this mission was really endless. But there was also good news, because for each killed monster, additional characteristic points were given. On the 5th floor, there were no such opportunities. No matter how many monsters they killed, they did not get anything for it. That is why it is now necessary to enjoy this battle and get the maximum progress for it. For Li Ho, leveling up has lost its meaning. All his characteristics have reached the maximum. Now he has to train to improve his school. Loud noises began to be heard around. It turned out that now Soyeon has 2 pistols, so twice as many problems. It turns out that there is no progression limit in the assassin rank, and Li Ho can't like that. This girl does not like when someone looks at her. She can kill for observing herself. A little later, Li Ho remembered that now he will go to the 7th floor, and therefore he will meet his monster. The 7th floor is a place of enhancement. When hunting monsters, there is a probability of getting a stone of enhancement of characteristics. Players can use boost stones and gold to increase the power of items. Items that aren't weapons or defenses can't be enhanced, so not everything is perfect. During 72 hours, they must hunt monsters and become stronger. There are no conditions for clearing the dungeon. If there are no clearing conditions, then after 72 hours, everything will be cleared automatically, at least in theory. Soon, an item called a stone of changing the probability of amplification appeared in the store. Yes, I didn't understand anything either. Everyone around bought these stones and prepared to complete a new mission. Li Ho was not worried at all. With the help of the ring, this floor would be an easy walk for him. He wants to not only increase his characteristics, but also get a new pet, that is, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. When Li Ho got to the dungeon, he saw that everyone around had already destroyed a large number of monsters. Not everything turned out so perfectly. It turned out that strengthening stones are quite difficult to find. Li Ho did not use weapons and tried to tame the monsters with his bare hands, but this method does not work at all. In parallel, Kim found his first power stone. Today he is very lucky. Li Ho couldn't understand why it was this fool who got the first enhancement stone. Sometimes life isn't fair. He approached Kim and decided to find out exactly what he wanted to strengthen. He fights with the stone fist technique, but he has no weapons to enhance it. It turns out that this guy was incredibly happy with an object that he will not be able to use. There is still a long time to find and tame the great monster, which is Li Ho's top priority. From the very beginning, it seemed that there was a lot of time, but it turned out that it ended faster than expected. Less than 2 hours to go, and Li Ho still hasn't found his monster. During this time, he met only a few candidates, but all of them did not suit his wishes at all. The Bear King of the 16th level was too slow. The wolf was fast, but not durable at all. A level 17 two-headed cat was also found, but it was too stupid. In the system guide, it was written that on the 7th floor there is a monster that can be tamed and that has excellent characteristics, but it has not been found yet. The only positive point is finding 3 power stones. This can be considered a good success. Li Ho continued his search and saw that some large creature was moving in the bushes. Soon he finally saw in front of him the same monster he had been looking for all this time. It turned out to be a Kentao kangaroo. This creature is at level 20 and has extraordinary boxing skills. It seemed that such a terrible-looking kangaroo could not become a pet, but it should be checked. Kentao said he likes this guy, but first he needs to test his strength. The boxing fight of the century began. 2 champions met in the ring. After a powerful blow from his opponent, Li Ho nearly lost his head. If he hadn't dodged, his head would have flown to Mars. The power of this Kentao is extraordinary. With such a guard, you cannot be afraid of any rivals. His kicks are made so powerful by his footwork, it all works like a spring. It should also be noted that this animal is extremely fast. Sometimes it is impossible to evade its attack. Probably Li Ho expected something else. He thought that his pet would be a very cool monster. If he couldn't find a cool wolf, he hoped to see something extremely beautiful, such as a kitten. But you have to be happy for what you have. And that's why he realized that a kangaroo is also a great option for him. Soon the system reported that Li Ho became the master of a Kentao kangaroo. Now this boxer is completely conquered. He decided to name this animal Kensu. Probably he said the first thing that came to his mind. As soon as the system notified about the subjugation of the animal, the kangaroo immediately changed its form. He turned into a small and very handsome squirrel-like pet. Li Ho had never seen anything better in his life. It was exactly what he had always dreamed of. Soon the task on the 7th floor was completed, and the players returned to the tower. They all watched Li Ho's new pet. This little kangaroo captured their hearts. They constantly watched him and said that they also wanted such an animal. Lee Ho explained that now he has a new subclass, and he was able to tame an animal from the 7th floor. He also hopes that all the other members of the team have improved their abilities. But it turns out that this is not quite the case. He predicted that this could happen, but he was still saddened by the poor success of his friends. Not long after, something cheered him up. John received a high-end adventurer's leather bag, which is great news. It can be mentioned that in the past, this guy already took a hammer with a bonus to the probability of improvement. Lee Ho was not wrong when he said that this boy has high potential. Not only did he gain significant improvements, Lee Ho also improved his sword and armor. Everyone was happy for their leader. Only Soyeon looked upset because she didn't find a single improvement stone. Then everyone around was smiling and joking with the teams. These young talents had no idea what was waiting for them in the future. Soon the joy ended and the light around disappeared, which means that new tests await them. They heard the familiar voice of the Kum rabbit. He said that they relaxed too early and forgot about something. He prepared a little show for them to cheer them up, but knowing this rabbit, he only prepared new problems for them. They already guessed that something bad is waiting for them. No one believes the words of this servant of the tower anymore. The rabbit is sure that they are all jealous of each other and want to adopt some of the abilities of their friends. In order to fulfill these cherished wishes, today he organized something. Now he is sure that they will enjoy life and feel real power in their own hands. The event is started. They have to kill players from other zones. As a reward, they get random abilities of the killed person. It is not known what kind of people these are, but if they are adequate, then they will not want to fight with Kim to the death. Lee Ho planned to try to negotiate with these people, but not everyone agreed with his strategy. Soyeon had already taken out her signature weapon and was ready to kill. All this time, Lee Ho hoped that she still had at least a drop of humanity left in her, but it seems that he was very wrong. It should not be forgotten that a killer once is a killer forever, and this perfectly characterizes this girl. Of course, any person considers a weapon aimed at him as a challenge to war. Lee Ho didn't want to kill each other at all because then they would be doing exactly what the tower expected them to do. The rabbit said that each of them should make their own choice, and after that, he invited them to come on stage. After that, the light disappeared. Lee Ho opened his eyes and saw that he was in an unknown place. The system informed that players who received this message should go to another room for 10 seconds. If they don't, they will die, and they have no choice but to obey the system. Time was running out very quickly, so Lee Ho also obeyed and entered the next room. There he met the general of the enemy team, Kang. The message that the players will die if they do not come to another room is just an ambush from the tower to provoke a conflict between the players. When the tension reaches its highest point, and you meet someone as aggressive as you, the probability of a fight increases significantly. This man looks very calm. He immediately understood that Lee Ho is the leader, even though this guy is at a low level. From the very beginning, Khan declared that he was not going to attack anyone. He would like to avoid war. Lee Ho completely agrees with him. He also dreams of a peaceful resolution of the conflict. The main thing is that all this is sincere. Too much blood has already been spilled here, and Khan doesn't want to lose any more of his comrades because of the tower's bad plans. At this moment, Lee Ho immediately remembered how he had promised himself never to be manipulated by the tower again, in that they were similar to him. Perhaps these are two victims of the Kum rabbit, trying to protect their companions and survive. The problem is that even if they start to cooperate, their comrades are scattered in different corners of the location, so it will be difficult to unite them. It turned out that Khan has a way to solve the problem. He knows how to activate the skill of telepathy. If he is sure that Lee Ho's group will not attack him and his friends, then he will use his telepathy to tell his friends not to attack. The whole problem is trust. He has to trust that Lee Ho and his team are really willing to cooperate. This is an ideal solution to the conflict if both of them do not want victims. Lee Ho explained that his team is quite calm and doesn't want to kill anyone either. Only recently they had another member of the team. It is with this girl that problems may arise. He cannot control her at all, and she constantly organizes trouble. He understands that he has no choice but to stop her with his own hands. In this case, Khan trusted his new comrade and stopped his comrades with the help of telepathy. After that, Lee Ho immediately went to find Soyeon. He must stop her at any cost. When he completed the mission on the 7th floor, his gold supply became even larger, and he bought a random box with an enhancement skill. The skill that he really needed appeared on time. It is a technique that helps to create mini-maps, locations, and players. Now they found themselves in a small 5-story hotel. So far, everything is under control. No one has died. He found Soyeon's location and immediately set off to search. When he opened the door, he saw Kim in front of him, next to the dead member of the other team. He couldn't believe that this big fool had actually violated the agreement and killed another person. He started yelling at him and prepared to break all his bones, but Kim explained that he was only defending himself. Another man took out a weapon and started attacking him, leaving no choice but to kill his opponent. At first, Li Ho didn't believe these words, but the system revealed that killers have eyes that can see the number of people killed by another person. Perhaps when this task was first received, Soyeon immediately saw the number of people killed, and that is why she became so aggressive. She understood what will happen in the future, so Kim is telling the truth. Khan planned everything carefully. He created all the conditions for his team to easily win this war. Soon Li Ho returned to this man in a completely different mood. He took out his sword and said that he was not going to talk about anything, because now he understood that a traitor was standing before him. In response, he heard a loud laugh, something similar to Jun Song's madness, on the first floors of the tower. This man had been hiding his true face for a long time, and now it became clear that he wanted to take away Li Ho's abilities. There is no point in wearing a mask anymore. Now everything has become obvious. Kang summoned his assistants, and together they began to attack Li Ho. It's getting too hot in this room. A little more and someone will melt, literally. There was a big explosion, and then Khan tried to understand what happened to his people. He saw in front of him a big and powerful boxing kangaroo. Finally, this animal will show what it is capable of. Li Ho has long dreamed of fighting alongside his pet. This union could change the world. Now they are in a difficult position. There are twice as many opponents, so they will have to work hard to win. Li Ho decided to act very aggressively in order not to give his opponents extra chances. Kyung-soo also showed off his knockout punch. In melee conditions, this beast is extremely powerful. In just a few seconds, the two of them were able to defeat the general's guard. Now he was left alone and no longer looked like the very confident warrior he had been before. Li Ho and his beast are not killers. They didn't kill the opponents, and now they can regret it. Their soft nature can lead to even bigger problems because sometimes you have to kill for good to win. They urgently need the help of other team members, but right now they can only rely on themselves. These warriors fight with the life forces of their general. He uses mana to keep their energy levels up, but it can't last forever. Li Ho does not consider himself a hero or a saint at all, but if there is a way to save even one person, he chooses that path. He is sure that this is what every adequate man should do, and he made this choice a long time ago. That's why he didn't want to kill his opponents and was gentle with them. But if he didn't destroy them right now, then his comrades might get hurt. That is why he chooses to remain cold-blooded and do what he must no matter what. With one movement of his sword, he destroyed 3 soldiers of the enemy team. After that came the moment of truth, the moment of punishment for the treacherous man named Khan. The absorption of the opponent's abilities has been successfully completed. The mission has been completed, and most of the members of the enemy team have died. The players returned to the lobby, relieved as if reborn. Li Ho saw that Soyeon was upset. He decided to approach her and apologize for the misunderstanding. The girl replied that she did it not for their sake, but for herself. Everything as usual. Someday she admits that she also has compassion and kindness, but it will definitely happen today. Maybe something happened to her in the past, some situation that had a great impact on her. The players were informed that after completing the mission, a trip to the 8th floor awaits them. They have been moving too fast lately. This means that everything is just beginning. Li Ho feels that something terrible is waiting for them on the next floor. His stats have been slightly increased by absorbing his opponent's abilities, but he still has a lot to do in order to become a real leader of his team. On the 8th floor, there is a qualification update hall waiting for the players. It will be difficult, but they must unite and believe in their success. Around them, the players saw someone who looked like gladiators, and these people look quite strong. A little later, a new character appeared on the screen. This is the middle manager of the Tower of the End of the World. His name is Kim. He doesn't really like being ignored, so he asked the players to be very careful. This is a qualification upgrade hall where gladiators gather. Only those who successfully upgrade their qualifications will be able to move to the next floor. Otherwise, they will die, so the rabbit advises them not to waste time and start now. Everyone must form a team of 4 people to hunt the Jagam mammoths. There will be a total of 8 mammoths, and 120 minutes to complete this mission. Surprisingly, 9 teams will be formed, but only 8 monsters, that is, the number does not match. The rabbit explained that these are not games at all, so it will be a battle not for life, but for death. Soon he also added another condition. Killing another player would be equal to killing a mammoth. Soon the portal was opened, and the players immediately ran forward. Before entering the portal, an unknown man stopped them. He asked them to stop for a minute. He looked into their eyes and tried to tell if they were murderers or ordinary people. This man in power is the killer Khan. Sometimes everything around is too strange, especially when the killer is looking for other killers. The players decided not to listen to him and not to waste extra time, so they immediately ran into the portal. Then he turned to the people who remained and said that he wanted to become a member of their team. Li Ho and the other players had no choice but to form their team, so they were forced to take him in. The system reported that a hidden object and a mammoth were found in the eastern part of the territory. Mammoths are marked with red dots on the map, and a gold dot means a hidden object. If you find and get the hidden object, no one will die, and this is exactly what Li Ho is aiming for. Soon they approached the barrier and saw a huge creature. It was they who managed to find the leader of the Mammoth Jags, but now they must confront him. From the very beginning, the Khan underestimated the leader of this group because he considered him a low-level person. Now his attitude towards Li Ho has changed, and he will watch him more carefully. Li Ho has also always been observant, but now he feels that he is also being watched. To begin with, you need to remove this barrier, but ordinary attacks will not help in this task. Li Ho is sure that the barrier will be opened automatically after some time, when 5 Jaga mammoths are killed. At that moment, when it seemed that everything was under control, very strange things began to happen. Assassin Khan drew his sword and chopped off the head of his teammate. Li Ho could not believe his eyes. It seemed that everything was going according to plan, but now real chaos began. Khan said that this is just to be safe. If the barrier doesn't open, then killing another player will count as killing a mammoth. Of course, killing another person for insurance is beyond comprehension, and it was a member of their team. Li Ho was angry, but understood that it was his mistake, because he believed that the killer could be adequate. He was overjoyed when he saw the hidden mammoth and completely lost his concentration. Now the Han smelled blood and is ready to kill all the team members to take the reward for himself. Jun Hon is going to sit back. He was ready to kill this killer and solve all the problems from the beginning. Li Ho decided to intervene in the situation because Han is too dangerous. He tried to save his partner, but even that was not enough. All this time he believed that he had become much stronger, but now he could not even protect his comrades. It's no different than what happened to him years ago. He's still too weak. At that moment, the barrier began to open and the leader of the mammoths was free. It was necessary to immediately pick up the injured partner and take him to a safe place. It is very lucky because he is still breathing, that is, the dream escaped fatal injuries. This does not mean that you can relax, because as long as the killer is free, he will try to kill. He decided to start by attacking the leader of the mammoths, despite the large difference in size. Khan usually uses sword aura. This is an exclusive skill of the assassin, and it is very difficult to predict the attack trajectory. Li Ho would like to destroy this assassin right now, but he is guaranteed to lose, so it is better to focus on the leader of the mammoths. This will help analyze the killer's behavior patterns and understand his strengths and weaknesses. Soon the dark leader of the mammoths was killed. They did it together like a real team. Now you can try to understand why Khan is trying to find the killer, because this is his central motive. Soon the mission was completed, and the players returned to the tower area. Jun Ho thanked Li Ho for saving his life, but all he did was incredibly angry at Han. But in the meantime, he remembered the last conversation with this killer, during the test. They agreed to talk a little and answer each other's questions in order to clarify the situation. Li Ho said that there is a killer in his zone. He is so special that he got an exclusive weapon, a gun. He's referring to the King of Assassins, Lady Death, Mistress of Guns, Soyeon. Khan started to laugh in response. He said that he had never heard of the King of Assassins. Of course, Li Ho just made this name up, but he did it to interest his opponent. Khan became visibly interested and now wants to know what kind of person this is and how to find him. Li Ho is ready to tell about it, but first he wants to understand why Han is looking for the killer and what his goals are. Now that they were back at the tower, he was able to learn something important. And now he knows that in the Day of Blood, all the characteristics of the killers will blossom and the difference will begin. Khan has information about the approaching Day of Blood, but it requires the cooperation of other assassins. Ever since Soyeon named Li Ho as her main target, he's been thinking about the Day of Blood all the time. If the assassin kills Li Ho in the Day of Blood, he will get extremely high scores, so Li Ho becomes the main target. It will be interesting to understand her true nature. Sometimes she is very cruel, and sometimes she is like a normal person. Now that Li Ho knows Han's true purpose, he can't let him continue. He must deal with him on this floor, even if it costs him too much, even if he has to go to any lengths. A little later, the rabbit Kim Kim approached him. He turned his attention to the boy who killed the leader of the mammoths. From this moment on, the tower will accept volunteers to kill players. Too many players survived because of Li Ho killing the hidden mammoth, and that's a problem for the rabbit. He hoped that at least 4 would die, and now he is very upset. He could kill 4 players randomly, but that's too uninteresting, so he came up with this method. You can get a special reward for killing a player, so it's better to choose the easiest target. One of the players began to brazenly talk to the rabbit. He said that they are not going to satisfy all his wishes. This rabbit only provoked, but never once attacked them, although he asked to respect him. At first it seemed that you cannot be afraid of Kim Kim. He is just an ordinary animal that will not do anything. So it seemed until that moment the rabbit did not cut off the hand of the boy who insulted him. Now he will finally understand that it is necessary to treat the middle-level manager more seriously. Rabbit Kim Kim hates being ignored and is not ready to forgive anyone treating him like that. Now he's ready to go into the real world and kill everyone around him if they don't start killing each other. I understood that he has no choice. If he does not do it, then no one will do it. That is why he raised his hand and said that he is ready to fight against the Khan. This is a fight not for life, but for death. Soon a special mission has begun. No matter what happens, you must destroy this killer once and for all. Han did not intend to kill Li Ho at all, and did not expect him to choose him as his opponent, but he is ready to accept the challenge. This battle really deserves special attention, because in theory the Khan is stronger than his opponent. He has more melee experience and also has an extraordinary sword aura. Now that they have started fighting, Li Ho feels the difference in levels even more. Even with his swordsmanship skills, he still can't defend against his opponent's attacks. These deadly blows of the Khan force him to sink to a depth from which it will be difficult to get out. Han is really enjoying this battle. He can already taste the blood in his mouth. Loss of concentration is a major mistake in battle. It can cost lives. At the most difficult moment for himself, he easily called a kangaroo to help and made the right choice. Now the two of them will fight against this deadly beast. Maybe at least this way they will have a chance to win. Khan finally forgot about the constant smile, got angry, and said that he was going to kill them all now. Even during the hunt for the leader of the mammoths, Li Ho found Han's only weakness. Of course, his sword aura is incredibly strong, but it requires a very large amount of mana. He uses all of his skills to their full potential, and because of this, his mana drains very quickly. His attacks are difficult to predict, but with the sensitivity skill it becomes possible to dodge them. If you hold out until the killer runs out of mana, you can send this scumbag to hell. This plan was simple and seemed brilliant, but sometimes even the best plan can fail. It must be admitted that this killer turned out to be much stronger than expected. Li Ho underestimated his enemy, and because of it he paid the price with the life of his pet. Li Ho had said that there was a way to become stronger without killing, and it must be admitted that he had indeed made progress that way. His mistake was that he relied on his kangaroo instead of doing all the dirty work himself. Now he is standing before the killer on his knees, but he is not going to give up and accept his defeat. All this causes only laughter in Khan. He has never felt love for animals, and he has never known what true compassion is. He believes that the more people get attached to something, the weaker they become. Maybe all this is a cliché, but Li Ho is sure that all these battles together with his friends only made him stronger. A peaceful life is what makes them human, and he is ready to fight for his ideals to the last drop of blood. The bloody path will only lead to loneliness. It is the choice of psychopaths and madmen. Of course, the Khan was not going to agree with these words, so he took out his sword and decided to end this conversation. An assassin's sword aura versus a mid-level swordsman's skills. Now we'll see who wins. After the huge explosion, everything around was like fog. Only a little later, Li Ho became visible. He was very lucky that his swordsmanship skills were boosted at the last moment and helped him deliver a powerful blow. This attack takes almost the entire mana level. Its effectiveness is insignificant, but the destructive power is extremely high. He destroyed the killer but paid too high a price and lost his close friend. He apologizes to Kensu for not being able to save his life. This will be a lesson for him. The system reported that the kangaroo could be summoned again in 24 hours, which meant that all was not lost. Kim Kim appeared on the screen. He expected a completely different result of this battle. He likes obedient people and congratulates Li Ho on his victory, but that doesn't mean he can relax. Each subsequent mission will be more difficult, because Khan was not only one of the strongest in the tower, he was a part of this tower. Now that one of the assassins is dead, the missions will become even more difficult and brutal. The more killers they stop, the harder it will be to climb. But if the killers are not stopped, a real disaster will happen. The rabbit said it was time for Li Ho to go on a second mission, along with his special reward. He found himself in an unknown place and began to look around. There was too much light. This is a mission in the space of mind and time. It is necessary to achieve a level of success and training until the sand in the clock runs out. If you fail this task, the player will die, so you have to do everything possible to succeed. Next to him, Li Ho saw an old man who had just woken up. It seems that this is his reward for his past success. This old man stood up and said that he was a heavenly demon who would become Li Ho's master. From the very beginning, he is ready to start training the boy, because they do not have much time. Li Ho prepared to defend himself, but his skills were not even enough to stop the wooden stick. His body does not have time to react to the blows of the master. Even the sensitivity technique does not help. It's surprising because his speed and reaction indicators are at the maximum level, but sometimes you need something more to beat the master. Li Ho had been taught not to hit old men since childhood, so today all these rules will have to be forgotten. He prepared for a difficult battle in which he's not going to spare anyone. The boy used a mid-level swordsman skill and began his attack. It turned out that all this was nothing for the protection of this experienced heavenly demon. He calls the swordsman's technique just child's play, and it's better to forget about it. You have to clear your mind to learn real fighting techniques. Li Ho is not going to give away his skills. He does not trust this old man and is afraid of making a mistake. If it weren't for his swordsmanship, he wouldn't have lived to this point. So he doesn't want to forget anything. He must have completely forgotten that if he does not make progress, he will die in this space. With every second, the time is getting less and less. He doesn't want to start over because he trained for a long time to reach the average level of a swordsman. The old man explained that the smaller the vessel, the more he is fixated on the contents, thinking that this is all he has. He is not going to force anyone. Li Ho has to choose for himself, leave everything as it is, or accept his teachings and go to a new level. Now the boy has to make one of the most difficult choices in his life. Soon he knelt before the master and asked him to teach him the skill of the sword. From now on, he is willing to be this old heavenly demon's disciple. They immediately started training. After removing his past skills, Li Ho regained his skill level very quickly. He trained against his doppelganger and grew stronger and stronger by the minute. In about 3 days, he was able to become much more powerful than he was before. After that, it's time to thank the master for the training and continue your independent path. Grandfather reminded the boy that he was still at the trash level, but that was enough for the entry level. A has much more potential than expected. If he continues to train, he can make even more progress. From this moment on, they should become even closer to each other and behave like father and son. They will now begin to learn how to wield a sword that has been enhanced with the heavenly demon's unique technique foundation. This is the greatest swordsmanship of all time, the ghost sword technique. Let's talk about the old master. He was called the greatest genius in the history of martial arts. When he was 29 years old, he united the 7 paths of the Cheonma cult and then took the heavenly Cheonma throne. At that time, he was called the greatest and strongest leader of the entire continent. He was in the prime of his life. This is how the art of the sword was born. He achieved union with the sword and ended up in this tower. Only when he was here did he realize that his journey was not over yet. He signed a contract with the tower and now fulfills his role here. At any moment he can return to his world. So if you believe his words, all the characters here are like NPC. Li Ho will be able to master sword skills of incredible power. This technique is called Ghost Sword. Li Ho promised to put in his best effort and train hard. To master this technique, you will have to suffer and be ready for absolutely anything. It turned out to be quite simple to restore the previous level. It was only necessary to follow the previous path. The technique of the sword turned out to be calm and efficient, soft and powerful. The greatest genius of all time has been honing this technique all his life, so it won't be easy. A little later, it was time to start the battle with the master and show what Li Ho had learned. Now he is weaker than usual, but he has no right to give up because time is running out. The battle was started and Li Ho struck the first blow. Obviously, the heavenly demon had time to dodge. He dodged the boy's attacks and didn't even strain. The master wasn't even going to use his hands to fight. He is on a completely different level of skill, and his speed is extraordinary for his age. In order to feel the ghost sword technique, you need to activate the texture. Only by looking at the world from a different angle can you discover your extraordinary abilities. Everything around has its own texture, and this is what the heavenly demon talks about all the time. If Li Ho can feel it, then incredible opportunities will open up for him in this world. He will be able to do absolutely anything. He will be able to do what is usually called a miracle. The ghost sword can cut even non-material objects, all with the help of texture. Li Ho must once again attack the master and demonstrate what he has learned all this time. He did so, and part of the heavenly demon wand was chopped off. This is what the true ghost sword technique means. It is something beyond comprehension.